Good morning. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. We're streaming here from Fox Local and your favorite social media sites like TikTok and YouTube. Remember, this is a news conversation, so if you have any questions or comments, or if you want a story, if you want us to discuss a story, feel free to weigh in the comments section up with whatever social media platform you're watching from. Guys, let's get into our headlines. We're talking locally now. So 4 Georgia State troopers are now fired without a job here. Let me tell you why. So the Georgia Department of Public Safety has fired 4 state troopers following an investigation into personal injury claims made after police pursuits. So the department started looking into the troopers' claims in January of this year. Investigators found that the group shared many crash and incident reports with a lawyer. The lawyer then tried to get money for the crashes by filing claims against the insurance of the drivers who ran from the officers. The department determined this violated ethical standards, leading to all 4 troopers being fired. Now, officials say the troopers would initiate pursuits, then perform pit maneuvers leading to a crash. Afterwards, they would take the drivers they were chasing to civil court. So the department said in a statement, quote, the actions of these few individuals do not reflect the core values of professionalism and trust that define our agency. They go on to say that the Georgia Department of Public Safety holds its officers to a high standard and takes misconduct seriously by investigating all claims according to the law. Now, Atlanta trial attorney Tom Church called the alleged actions shocking. Let's take a quick listen to what he said.
Problematic because it's kind of a conflict of interest, right? Officers generally aren't trying to cause themselves or anyone else any harm. However, if they have a financial stake in it, then that's going to influence their decision making. We want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, catch the bad guy, but then we want them to do it in the safest way possible.
So Church says if the troopers' scheme went unchecked, it would mean they would have an incentive to chase more. He went on to say, quote, we want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, catch the bad guy, He says, but then we want them to do it in the safest way possible here. So while the department confirmed the firings, the trooper firings, officials have not yet identified the 4 troopers involved here. And it's also unclear if the attorney involved will face any legal action or if the insurance companies paid out any of the claims before the investigation began. It also remains unclear how many drivers the unidentified troopers targeted. The department did not say what part of the state the fired agents were working in. Moving now to another big story that we've been following this week. An 18-year-old man facing homicide charges after a high-speed chase and a stolen car ended in a crash that killed 1 woman and injured a teen on Friday in DeKalb County. So his name is Joseph Oda. He's 18 years old again. He was driving a stolen vehicle when DeKalb County police began a chase. That chase ended near Covington Highway and Miller Road when he hit a tree. The impact killed Antoinette Catching. She was a 56-year-old woman and left a 14-year-old with injuries. Police also found a teen inside the stolen car with Oda. Now, Oda now faces charges of first-degree homicide by vehicle, serious injury by motor vehicle, fleeing, attempting to elude police, theft by receiving stolen property, reckless driving, no driver's license, and failure to maintain failure to maintain lane. So he's facing a slew of charges in this incident. This is according to police. The teen passenger facing charges of theft as well, theft by receiving stolen property, serious injury by motor vehicle, and second-degree homicide by vehicle. So that teen passenger who was in the car with him also facing charges. The DeKalb County Police Department issued a statement saying it was working to address crime as county residents have asked officers to do. They say, quote, this is DeKalb County Police Department, this is a tragic loss of life and our hearts are with the victims and their families. Chief Gregory Padrick with the department says, let me be clear, Let me be clear, this incident is the result of a deliberate decision to flee from law enforcement. When individuals choose to run, they endanger innocent lives. Our officers were doing exactly what this community expects, taking action to stop crime and protect the public. So here's what we don't know about this story. It's not quite clear yet where the vehicle was originally stolen from or the current medical condition of the injured 14-year-old. Police have not released the name of the team who was inside that car, who's also facing charges with Oda. So last spring, DeKalb County Police updated their chase policy to be more aggressive. Officers are now allowed to start a pursuit if there is probable cause of any crime, including felonies, misdemeanors, or traffic offenses. This policy has drawn mixed reactions from residents who have lost loved ones in similar high-speed chases. So let's talk about the other side in this story. Some neighbors near the crash site say no one should die over a stolen car. Evan Davis is somebody who we spoke with. He lost a friend in a 2019 chase in Fulton County, and he said he blames the police more than the suspects in some of these cases. He's told us, quote, I mean, it's not that serious sometimes, and to my knowledge, he's speaking of these chases, like to chase a suspect is not that serious to him if it's going to cost the life of another person, of an innocent bystander. So other people have been speaking out about this as well. And it is a sad situation when, police are trying to do their jobs, but somebody is killed, an innocent bystander is killed in the process, and no one deserves that. So we'll continue to follow this story here. Again, this 18-year-old charged with a slew of crimes. He's facing multiple counts here. And his passenger, the person in the car with him, also facing charges in this case here. We know that one woman died and a 14-year-old was also injured as police were chasing Oda. So we'll continue to follow this story. Moving forward to our next story, still in DeKalb County, a Navy veteran is charged in the shooting spree. And we've been talking about this shooting spree that happened this past week. So a U.S. Navy veteran is facing murder charges after authorities say he went on a violent rampage across DeKalb County Monday morning, shortly after storming out of his shared home following a dispute over the thermostat. So we're receiving new details here. Roommates of 26-year-old Adon Abel, so Adon Abel is the Navy veteran, said an intense argument broke out late Sunday night regarding the temperature of the house in Panthersville. So his roommates are saying this all started due to thermostat issues. The roommate, Angela Britton, said Abel kept the house freezing, leading to a screaming match. Following the dispute, roommates say Abel packed a duffel bag and drove away shortly after midnight. Now, another roommate, so this is the second roommate here in this story, Lakeisha McKenzie, told the Associated Press that the fight left her so scared that she called her mother before bed, asking her to pray for her and her roommate's safety. McKenzie also said she had been afraid of Abel since he inappropriately touched her in March after asking her on a date. Authorities have not yet released a confirmed motive for the attacks that followed. They say that he went on a shooting rampage across DeKalb County after this AC dispute, did not harm his roommates here. But authorities have not released a confirmed motive for these attacks. It is also unclear if Abel had any prior connection to the victims, though police believe at least one attack was random. So let's get into the timeline here of this happening on Monday morning. So on midnight Monday, Abel leaves his home in Panthersville following an argument. Around 12:50 a.m., 31-year-old Brianna Weathers is fatally shot outside a Decatur area fast food restaurant. Okay, and then 2 a.m., a 49-year-old man is shot multiple times while sleeping outside a grocery store in Brookhaven. He remains in stable but critical condition. Then at 7 a.m., Lauren Bullis, a Department of Homeland Security auditor, is found dead with a gunshot wound and stab wounds while walking her dog near Abel's home. So right now we have two people dead, two women, 31-year-old Brianna Weathers and Lauren Bullis, a Department of Homeland Security auditor. And then we have another man shot multiple times with serious injuries. So that's all, before 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Moving forward to 11 a.m., Georgia State Troopers stop Abel's car in Troup County near the Alabama border and take him into custody. So Abel is a UK native. Just a little bit of the backstory involving him. He's a UK native who gained U.S. citizenship in 2022. He's charged with 2 counts of malice murder, aggravated assault, and state firearm counts. On Friday, federal prosecutors announced additional charges against Abel and 35-year-old Damon Marquise Yarnes. Yarnes is accused of straw purchasing the 9mm pistol used in the crimes, allegedly buying the gun for Abel because Abel is a convicted felon. So this other guy, this 35-year-old Damon Yarnes, is also in trouble in this case here. Because he allegedly bought this pistol that Abel used in these crimes that he committed Monday morning. Records also show Abel pleaded guilty in October of 2024 to assault with a deadly weapon in San Diego and had a 2023 conviction for sexual battery in Chatham County. That's here in Georgia. One roommate, Lakeisha McKenzie, that we spoke to, said she had previously complained to their landlord about Abel's inappropriate behavior toward her, but no action was taken here. So again, a very big story that we've been covering since Monday morning. Again, 2 women died in the violent attacks that happened after this reported AC dispute between Abel, the Navy veteran you see on your screen, and his roommates. We'll continue to follow this story and also give you an update on the 3rd victim who's currently in the hospital with serious injuries. Let's move forward now. So another big story here, a major transformation underway for transit riders across Atlanta as the MARTA has expanded. Now, let's get into this story. Our Kim Leffler has been covering it this morning. MARTA kicking off with a new MARTA Rapid A line and the Next Gen bus program. Kim, what have you been able to gather this morning on this story?
Hey, Jasmine, good morning to you. I am right here by the state capitol, and in this part of downtown Atlanta, you'll see these red lines that are now on the roadways, and this is for the Rapid A line that is launching today, as well as the Next Gen Bus Network, MARTA's Next Gen Bus Network. It's the first time MARTA has really done a redesign of the bus network since the 1970s. Now, here's a breakdown of exactly what all is going to happen. So this Next Gen Bus Network is going to triple the number of high-frequency corridors, which means many riders will see a bus arrive every 15 minutes or less, with nearly a dozen routes running every 20 minutes or better. The redesigned system includes 81 fixed routes operating at consistent frequencies for most of the day, 7 days a week. Now, that includes this new Rapid A line, and the Rapid A line is Atlanta's first bus rapid transit route. It's built to function more like a train with fewer stops and more consistent service. The 5-mile route connects downtown Atlanta to Capitol Gateway, Summerhill, Peoplestown, and the Beltline Southside Trail, linking riders directly to MARTA Rail. And in some areas, buses will travel in dedicated lanes, like you see here, and use technology that can even change traffic lights to keep them moving. Now, I have spoken with riders this morning about this new network and this new system. Take a listen to what one rider had to say. Thoughts on that?
On the new MARTA?
Yeah, the new MARTA bus routes. Yep.
Okay, I have to, it's okay, and it might not be okay, but it's a new thing actually. So I know that with time we are going to be fine, because the city is not going to give us what we do not need. I think they know why they are doing this, so it's going to fall in the right place.
So I know the city is saying they're hoping it's going to reduce wait times, more frequent service. Do you think that's something that's needed?
Yes, it's very needed, because when you have to catch a bus and it's going to come earlier than you were used to, I think it's a good thing.
And so do you take the bus and the public transit a lot?
I do. I don't have a private car, so I rely on the public transport system.
And so I'm sure this is welcome news to you to get some faster service.
Exactly. And I know it's going to work and help all of us to decongest actually the city as well. So it's okay.
Now, as part of this new network, MARTA says that some of the low-frequency routes are being discontinued, so they just encourage riders to go on and check the news schedule before heading out. Jasmine.
Kim, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this very important initiative here that MARTA is rolling out today, and it's going to affect you riders. We'll check in with Kim a little later on this story as she continues to gather information and also talk to people out there who's going to use this program. Guys, your time is 9:15. When we return, we'll take a look at your weather forecast and talk about a very important health issue that's impacting millions of Americans. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's get straight to our meteorologist, Alex Forbes. He has a look at your weather forecast, and I'm still hoping for those hot temperatures, Alex.
Well, you're in luck today, Jasmine. Tomorrow, probably not so much here in Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. We're going to see a cold front come through during the evening hours tonight, and then we're going to cool down. Let's take a live look here over downtown and midtown. We had a fantastic sunrise this morning. I clipped it and put it on my X account in case you're curious to see it. And this is after defeating a record yesterday. We got up to 90 degrees, now to 68, and we're going to get back into the mid-80s this afternoon, but really not much in the way of rainfall. Some more cloud cover across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia, particularly along the I-75 corridor and along in south of I-20. If you're up in northeast Georgia, you're looking at a little more sun, and that's why Gainesville is already to 71. 66 up there in Clayton, 68 in Athens, 69 over in Eatonton. All right, if we could pick up what's over Paducah, Kentucky, and just drop it on Metro Atlanta, that would be fantastic, but I don't think we're going to be doing that because this cold front, as it continues to push down towards the south and the east, is running into the dry air that we have in place here across Metro Atlanta. All right, here's yesterday's record high temperature, 90 degrees. April 17th, 2026 is now the earliest we have ever reached 90 in Atlanta. That defeats a record, the daily high temperature record that was 130 years old. Now for today, we have this fire danger statement in place once again this afternoon across Metro Atlanta, North Georgia. This is for burning today. That is not recommended because of the low humidity, the hot temperatures, the little bit of a breeze we have. Any fire that you start could unintentionally spread relatively easily. Temperatures into the mid-80s there by the noon hour. And then getting into the evening tonight, here comes our rain chance up across northeast Alabama. That tries to come across the Georgia state line. Couple of showers do make it across. There's the midnight hour and into early tomorrow morning, but many of the showers do not survive. I expect most people to stay dry tomorrow morning in metro Atlanta. There will be a handful of people who see some rain, and of those, the rainfall totals are only going to be like 1/10 of an inch, so not exactly meaningful. By the noon hour, notice this northerly breeze builds in, temperatures in the low 60s. And then we only get into the mid to upper 60s for the afternoon, and that's going to do it for us. The combination of the cloud cover plus the northerly breeze going to keep us cooler for Sunday, and then that's going to start a new warming trend into the week ahead. All right, temperatures in the 40s for the Monday morning bus stop. So think about it this way. Kids got off the bus Friday afternoon at 90 degrees, getting on the bus Monday morning at 45-ish. Somewhere in there for metro Atlanta, warming up to 75 for the afternoon. Let's take a closer look at these winds, the gust potential here. This is tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Some gusts upwards of 20 to 25 miles an hour, and then that will continue through the daytime hours. There we are at 2 p.m. and then on into the evening. Once we lose the sun, the wind gusts will begin to relax. Not go away entirely, but they will relax. Average high today is 74. 88 in the city, 88 in Athens, going with 90 down there in Milledgeville, 85 in Griffin, 86 over in Rome. And we did get an update to the drought monitor this past Thursday. You still see much of northeast Georgia, including metro Atlanta, in extreme drought. That's a level, think of it as a level 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 on the drought monitor for Georgia. All right, here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. 69 with a 30% chance of showers tomorrow morning, and then clearing here through the week ahead. Temperatures starting a new warming trend, going from 75 on Monday up to 86 on Friday. Jasmine, we've been talking about it ad nauseum. Trust me, I'm sick of talking about it. We need rain, and I think we're going to have an opportunity to pick up a decent amount in the last several days of April. That could begin as early as next weekend.
Alex, thanks so much for joining us to talk weather, and hopefully, we do see that rain. You keep saying that we do need it.
Right.
All right, Alex, we'll check back in with you later, guys. Let's talk about another weather issue plaguing Michigan, that is. So heavy rain and snow melt is pushing rivers across Michigan toward dangerous flood stage. They're in crisis mode there, guys. Crews are now working around the clock to shore up the Sheboygan Dam in northern Michigan. If it overflows, people could be forced to evacuate. So officials are warning people living near the dam to be ready to leave at any time, but with water levels just inches from the top, some people are getting out now. This week, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer expanded a state of emergency to nearly 3 dozen counties after powerful storms knocked down trees and power lines. The National Weather Service teams have been on the ground surveying the damage. Flooding from that same system also swept across the Midwest, stranding cars and leading to water rescues in Wisconsin as well. So they're facing some issues. Forecasters say another 1 to 2 inches of rainfall could happen here today, there in Michigan today. So that's something to talk about here. They're in crisis mode, so we wish them safety and wellness here in Georgia. Your time is 9:22. When we return, we'll talk about IBS. This is an illness that affects millions of Americans. Welcome back. Well, this month, April, marks IBS Awareness Month. It's a condition that affects millions of Americans, but it's still widely misunderstood and under-discussed. Health experts say it's time to change that and be more open, have an informed conversation on IBS. Let's bring in Dr. Peyton Baruchim. He joins us live with what you need to know on this health condition. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Baruchim.
Good morning, Jasmine. Thank you for having me.
So first, for those who don't know, please share what IBS is.
So IBS is a common condition that affects millions of Americans. It's typically abdominal pain that occurs with a change in bowel movements. Now, that change can be diarrhea, it can be constipation, or it can be a combination of both. So patients who have IBS, their gut is a little bit more sensitive, so that change will cause pain.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Now, IBS affects millions of Americans, yet it's still misunderstood. Why do you think that is?
First of all, people think it's purely a stress or anxiety disorder, which is not. You know, there are physical triggers that occur with IBS, which is a combination of gut sensitivity, as I mentioned, stress, diet, the gut bacteria. The microbiome imbalance has a lot to do with it. But I think the big issue is, you know, as a culture, we're not comfortable talking about our gut issues, our bowel movements. So a lot of times these symptoms aren't even brought up in the doctor's office. So it goes undiagnosed.
Next question. You said that you see common triggers. Can you talk more about that and the mistakes that people are making when trying to manage their symptoms?
Yeah, people try to do diet elimination sometimes, and they do that too fast without adding what's really necessary in your diet, which is fiber. I think we all lack fiber. Our diets have become so processed that it's lacking fiber. So low fiber intake will cause constipation, will cause bloating, will cause gut bacteria. So it's important to incorporate fiber into the diet, and also maybe some probiotics, which are the good bacteria that our gut needs.
And so, you know, most Americans aren't getting enough fiber. We know that fiber is so important in our diet, and I've done research on this myself. The amount of fiber that we need is a lot per day when you really think about it. And it, you know, it differs depending on your gender, your weight, etc. So talk about fiber and why it's so important. What can we do to incorporate that more into our diets?
Yeah, you know, the problem is these ultra processed foods are stripped of fiber, and that's what our diets are mainly these days. Fruits, vegetables, fiber supplements, you know, that help. You have to just be really conscious and active about what you're eating and how much intake you're having. And you'll notice an immediate improvement as far as bowel habits, as far as bloating, inflammation, etc.
And so there's a lot of buzz around Ozempic and other medications like it. What gut-related side effects are doctors like you seeing? What should people be aware of?
Yeah, everybody's on these GLPs these days. And one of the main side effects that's not really discussed with patients before starting these medications are some of the gut symptoms. Mainly, it slows down your gut motility. And by doing so, you get constipated. It does, of course, reduce your hunger, but then it causes nausea, bloating, a lot of gut discomfort that patients aren't educated about.
Thanks so much for sharing. Now, in the break, we were talking about a product that you really like and you think it's useful. Let's talk about that. And you said it's associated with an organization called Belly Welly.
Yeah, so Belly Welly is a fiber supplement. It comes in a powder form, and it also comes in gummies, so it's really easy to carry with you. It gives you the necessary fiber that you need. It also has probiotics in it. There is collagen and electrolytes as well, so you're kind of getting everything all in one. It's super simple. It comes in different flavors. It comes in package-sized, carry-ons and gummies. So I recommend it to my patients. They've done really well with it. I think people should give it a try.
And my last question for you, any advice, any first steps for a person who's experiencing gut issues and they don't know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to rule out the important things. If you've seen your physician, your labs are great. But I think the most important thing is start with introducing fiber into your diet. Fiber will do amazing things. Your bowels will start moving. Not being constipated will reduce the bloating, a lot of the symptoms. So increase your water intake. Very important. Try to reduce your stress. I know we're all stressed these days as a society. Adequate sleep is really important. So try to, help your body relax. Get enough sleep, get enough water, add a little fiber. I think that's a very good start.
Those are some good tips there, Dr. Baruchim. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this health issue, IBS. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was some information, some useful information on IBS and just the importance of gut health. When we return here, we'll get into some of our national headlines. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell here, where we're streaming on Fox Local and on several social media platforms. Remember, this is a news conversation, so if there's any topics or questions that you have on the stories that we're covering, feel free to ask them in the comments wherever you're watching. You can put that in TikTok and that comment section and YouTube. Just let us know the stories that you want to hear and if you have any questions. But we like to bring events to you live during the stream, so that's what we're going to do right now. It is to my knowledge that President Trump here is speaking and could be signing an executive order. So let's take that live and listen in for a little bit so we can find out together what's happening.
President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
We all respect Joe, and he's a little bit more liberal than. That's okay. I have a lot of friends that are liberal, but Joe is an amazing guy, and he wrote me a little note about this, and I had it checked out. I didn't just do it. I had it checked out. I went to Bobby and Oz. I went to some of the people that work for you, real pros, and everybody came back with the same answer. You know, normally they'll come back, because this happens a lot. I have a couple of them like that, where they're not sure. It's like, you know, it goes two ways. This thing, everybody thought it was incredible. And I told Bobby, I said, Bobby, let's just do it and get Oz involved, and it's going to get done so quickly. And you guys did a great job. Would you like to say something else?
Mr. President, I want to thank Matt Zorn, who's hiding in the back there, who actually on Sunday wrote a draft for this. You already thanked Heidi and Kelly, but you know, Susie Wiles makes everything run here. This was an unimaginable task in 1 week to be able to go from a series of connections and communications with Joe Rogan through the honey badger of them all, Bobby Kennedy, who said, we're not going to stop. We didn't start calling everyone down. The Pike Steph Spears been involved, and Chris Klump, who's been doing a fantastic job helping run everything in great efficiency, made something. And I just want to emphasize this. This is an entire paradigm shift away from a one-day-a-pill model, which has failed so many. And the many who are drug resistant that Joe just spoke to, this offers them a way of getting out of that rut. The question now is, can we study why it works to understand it better, to use it better? That's what Jay Bhattacharya is going to do, NIH, with major funding support, perhaps some ARPA as well. Marty spoke eloquently about the FDA's accelerated pathway for this. And then we're going to, when we learn more, figure out better ways of getting access to these products through our healthcare system. But this is an extraordinarily exciting day, and it would never happen if the president just would not take no for an answer. He called on the way, Joe, to the fight on Saturday. And I think he was as determined to get this done as the men in those rings and women in those rings that night. Thank you, sir.
They are determined.
Yeah, I want to thank Professor Nolan Williams. When I was a professor at Stanford, I got to know him, and he taught me about ibogaine and all the promise that it has for treatment-resistant depression and so many other conditions. Frankly, for me, I learned a lot. He unfortunately passed away last year. I want to thank this amazing team that just moved heaven and earth to get things done. I do want to emphasize this is something that we're still studying, and we have to keep studying. We have to figure out the right way to like make sure we administer it, that it's safe, that we don't just take it for granted. We already know everything, because we don't. And for the NIH and for ARPA-H, we are absolutely committed to making sure that we keep studying it, keep getting the best gold standard science on it. You see here Norvolka, who's my National Institute of Drug Abuse director. She's been an absolute hero in just developing scientific, so the commitment for American science to focus on this, and in many ways, it's that scientific advance that brought us to this moment. So thank you, President Trump.
But if it's good, we want to get it fully approved fast, right?
I mean, for the things that have great evidence, and that's what
you know, these studies, they go on for a long time, and if it's good, I mean, I have a witness right here. These two incredible brothers. That to me is a study, right? That's
I mean, it's just as Commissioner McCary said, there's stuff that we know and we can tell it works. We still got to figure out sometimes how it works or why it works. That we got to keep doing even as we move forward fast.
But it does work.
Some of those, I mean, absolutely. Some of those treatments absolutely work. You can see the testament here. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the answer because it either works or it doesn't. I would think that there's been a lot of research already, indirect research, maybe the ultimate research, people that have taken it, because I've spoken to people that have taken it, aside from the trail, both of them. I've spoken to 5 people that
Mr. President, works.
that had big problems.
Done it 3 times.
Yeah,
It works.
please.
It fixed my demonic
This
relationship.
is Rob O'Neill, who's a friend of mine and a great guy. Go ahead, Rob.
It fixed my demonic relationship with alcohol. It saved my life, and then it saved my wife. So every day is a blessing. It took about 3 years of. I did it 3 times. It's a different adventure every time. That's not fun.
So without it, you would have had problems.
I did it with, there was a Green Beret 28-year sergeant major that told me when we finished, make sure you tell Amber Capone, the CEO of Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, that she saved my life because I was going to kill myself next week. This was my last chance. I had a 28-year veteran tell me that. Wow. This works.
Okay, good.
Mr. President,
yes.
would you ask Marcus to speak about his experience?
Thank you, Secretary. Yeah, Mr. President, what Rob O'Neill is talking about, my wife, Amber Capone, is the CEO of our charity VETS, Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. We had prayed for this day to come 10 years ago when we started the charity. We've been sending veterans outside the country, Joe, that you've been talking about for years, several thousand now, and we said the mission will end once this day happens, so we believe this is a huge step in maybe that the mission goes away and now we have affordable access right here in the U.S.
Why didn't they get it done?
We're getting it done, right? You're getting it done.
Yeah, why yet other presidents looking at it, right? Why didn't they get it done?
I think we needed you.
That's my job. I can answer that question, sir, if you want.
Go ahead, please.
There's a small group of us in the House that have been trying to move legislation since I showed up. Mr. Correa, Mr. Bergman, Mr. McCall, Mr. Crenshaw, every year have tried to move legislation. That side of the room is not going to like what I have to say about this. And every year it has all fallen short. Every year it has all fallen short. And it's because of the proverbial roadblocks that are always in the way.
Right, that's right.
Okay, fair assessment. But those members and myself were convicted never to give up, ever. And with this executive order, I'm going to maintain composure, Mr. President. With this executive order, you have broken down those barriers and allowed us, I have all the faith in the world that this will codify and remain forever. So thank you very much for taking care of your service members and your veterans and giving the members that have been working on this for so long a chance. Thank you, sir.
Well, when I sign this does solve it for the 3-year, but we'll get that codified very easily.
Absolutely.
Once I sign it, we get them codified. So we'll make it permanent. I have no doubt it's going to be working. Would anybody else like to say something? These 2 women are so talented.
Well, I love an executive order that says research, 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 because it's ultimately what guides us onto how to optimally do things. And I think that this is what hopefully will start to happen and bringing up change in a system that has been very difficult to modify because of prior experiences. These drugs have unique characteristics that could actually, if we investigate them, can bring us into potential applications that currently we're not thinking about. But if we close the door to science, if we close the door to data, we'll just keep on doing the same thing again and again.
Do you think the door was closed?
It was hard to,
Yes.
It was hard to do research.
It's very, very hard. And it's actually just by scaling as a one, it makes it very
So
difficult.
this is a big move then. It's going to have
It will facilitate
bigger than
research.
just this one thing that we're talking about. That's good. That's good. I'm glad we didn't waste a Saturday morning. Unusual, huh? Please.
Yes, Mr. President, this is a much-needed, bold move for precision mental health for our veterans and others, and accelerates access to personalized, targeted treatments. As you have heard, many, many veterans and others experiencing mental health disorders, they go through up to years of trial and error, trying one treatment that doesn't work, trying another and not knowing why. My work at Stanford and with my colleagues is to develop brain-based tests that can be measured right now in our VA and other locations that help us understand why these new treatments work and who they'll be most effective for. So with your mandate, we are in a position to really accelerate saving lives of many more people and getting them well sooner. And I believe that with this, the United States will be the first country in the world to treat mental health like we do cancer and like we do many other chronic mental illnesses.
We know the world is. The world is actually watching this because there are a lot of countries that want to do this and they haven't been able to. They're going to be following suit very, very strongly. Thank you very much, both. Anybody else? You guys okay? Everybody, let's sign it, right? You say something?
Mr. President, thank you. This treatment saved my life as well, and so many fellow veterans. Helped me get off opiates, stop using a nerve stimulator I had implanted, sleep for the first time in over 10 years. So thank you.
And you have no doubt, right?
Zero.
Wow, to me, that's the best research of all, frankly.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's my honor. Good, that's a good one. Oh, I wanted this one. See that, Joe? You think Biden can do that? He can. Do you have any questions of the folks? And I think we'll keep it on the subject pretty much. You'll have some questions on Iran, I know that. But this is such an important subject that I'd rather let this just speak for itself. And we'll be talking about Iran later. We have very good conversations going on. It's working out very well. They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders, they have no nothing. Actually, their leaders it is regime change. You call that enforced regime change. But we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the strait again, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us. In fact, a lot of the ships are coming up to Texas. I don't know if you know, in Louisiana, the ships are coming up. They got used to it. Maybe they'll keep doing it. It's worked out pretty good. But it's going actually along very well. And we'll see. But we'll have some information by the end of the day. We're talking to them. And, we're taking a tough stand. They've killed a lot of people. A lot of our people have been killed. A lot of your fellow soldiers have been killed over the years by Iran. The roadside bomb. Soleimani, I killed Soleimani. But
he was making the explosive form penetrators. They were making them in Iran, bringing them to Iraq and blasting through the vehicles.
Well, he was the father of the roadside bomb, essentially, and he killed a lot of people. And when you see soldiers or others, but soldiers generally walking around with no legs, with no arms, a face that's been smashed, that was Soleimani, that was Iran that did that. So we have a much different view on it than other presidents. They've gotten away with murder for 47 years. They're not getting away with it anymore. Does anybody have any questions with the great professionals, please?
So I wanted to know, could this potentially ever be available through the VA? Because I was talking to Wiz over here, you guys went down to Mexico together, but it's really expensive. And this is another drug that's expensive.
We have the right guy, Oz.
A
Let's
lot
go.
of veterans need this.
Why are you good for this question? They're talking about expense and availability.
So I spoke to Doug Collins. Obviously, both he obviously pays for the VA, and we pay for Medicare, Medicaid, children's health insurance, are very focused on the results that the NIH and FDA are going to offer us. We have a mechanism of creating models, CMMI, that might be the wise way to go because we can continue to study the impact. It is such a massive shift in how you deliver care. Imagine instead of taking a pill a day for your depression, you go through one treatment, but you have to have few people watching you. It's a very different world. So we're working that through. That's why the president, who I think this is the perfect step to get everything rolling, to deliver on the promise he made.
What's timing would you say on that, before you know?
We could have a CMMI model that we would announce by the end of this year. But the reason I'm not committing to that now is I want to make sure that the FDA and NIH have time, along with the great scientists, to give us a bit more information about how to deliver care. I'll give you one concrete example. For things like, Ibogaine is a little different story, but you would want 2 people in the room during the treatment. That's true for many of these approaches. That's a very different way of delivering medicine. And so the models that Abe Sutton runs that group for us and has done a great job for the president, that would be probably the fastest way of moving forward. forward and give the VA data so they can make wiser decisions, because Doug Collins is very focused on this.
There's one thing I'd add. There's nothing more expensive right now than the mental health crisis in America. 21% of Americans have a diagnosable mental health condition. The second leading cause of death for young adults today is suicide. Wow. Mr. President, antidepressants right now are the most prescribed class of medications in the country. Over 20% of women are on an antidepressant.
And is that good in terms of do they work?
There's highly problematic research on the fact that over 20% of U.S. women are on these drugs that are prescribed for life. We have a mental health crisis. And
do they work?
No. They don't. I'm on a couple of them, and
I would not have.
they don't.
I would not have.
I said, I figured I'd be next, but no, it is definitely an issue for women.
But, Mr. President, what you and Secretary Kennedy unlocked is for the first time questioning this system, that where we spend 3 times more per capita than any other country in the world, and we are living 6-7 years less. We have the highest rates of suicide and depression in the developed world. The incentives of our system.
And by the way, autism, which we're really working hard on, right, Bob?
We have the highest rates.
And we're coming up with some pretty amazing findings.
Pediatric cancer is the highest rates in the world. We are struggling and paying more than any other country, and the power of this executive order is really representative and gives validation to the cries of Maha moms and the votes of Maha moms, because for the first time it's taking a therapy that's one time. This is a one time, not a lifetime drug that can change someone's life, and that's the power. And I think that's why the system.
So the antidepressants, all that we read about and we prescribe to our military, they're not very effective.
It's a lifetime drug, and
well, even if it's lifetime, but do they?
Look at what's happened as we've prescribed them and made one of the most prescribed.
Well, the numbers are not great.
Perhaps I could jump in from the scientific side.
Thank you, Mr. President. What's the timeline for those with
she just wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think what's really important about your order is you include, we really want to understand why these rapid-acting treatments work. We need that for every treatment in mental health illnesses. Standard antidepressants in research, they do work for some people, but certainly not everyone. And if we think of cancer, all other conditions, we have a test to know which treatment is needed, and we don't have that for mental illness. It's guesswork.
This is tough.
So
with that, it either works or it doesn't work, and you have the result.
so
with this, you don't
as
know.
part of this order, I think it's really important that we're able to have the investment to understand who does this work for, and the test to accompany that. So thank you for
Do
making
you
that
think this
point.
can be a big step above antidepressants, what we're doing?
I think it can be identifying who doesn't respond to an antidepressant straight away, rather than waiting for years. And
What
being
percentage
able
of people respond positively to antidepressants? How
20 to 30%.
That's not great.
No.
That's not great. Well, thank you very much.
Mr. President, what's the timeline for those with mental health disorders, substance abuse disorders, to readily take advantage of this treatment based upon the executive order that you're signing today?
So I'd like to ask maybe Marty that question.
Sure. So first of all, right now it's available on clinical trials. We have not had applications in-house at the FDA. There was one that came in under the Biden administration. It was kicked out and not accepted. We now have 3 applications that are imminent, and we'll be issuing vouchers next week. The fastest FDA approval was 42 days during the HIV epidemic. On our national priority voucher program under President Trump, we are now down to that time frame on a routine basis instead of a year. In my opinion, we need the same level of urgency we had with HIV for PTSD and depression and anxiety in our mental health disorder, and cancer and heart disease and so many other conditions. So you're going to see decisions out from the FDA later this summer, as soon as we get the applications.
That's great. That's great.
And Mr. President,
I like that answer. I really quite like that answer.
Thank you, Mr. President. And then in regards to the timing of the executive order, was there not enough known about this treatment a year ago or 5 years ago or 8 years ago to sign the executive order that you signed?
So do you want to answer that question? Go ahead.
I just add, in 2016, the lead professor at Johns Hopkins said this was the most promising therapy that he's seen in his career, and many doctors from leading institutions said that. There's been a hold, there's been incentives against this, and it's the bravery and leadership of President Trump that's getting this done.
Artificial barriers?
It started, and this, to be clear, is starting a fast-track scientific process that's subject to FDA approval. But this has been known among leading institutions for many times as a very promising therapy.
So could it not have been signed in your first term, or there just wasn't enough information known about it?
Nobody told me about it, frankly. I mean, I got, all of a sudden, I've been getting a lot of calls. I think a lot, in all fairness, I think a lot's been learned over the last few years.
I should say that. I mean, a lot has been learned over the past few years. I think in the first term, if I was standing behind the president, I would have much more comfortable than I am now, thanks to the research that's been done. I mean, it's still a lot more to do. It's worked for so many people, and it's really a great move to do this. But the research is really important because we're going to keep improving, keep learning, and make sure that the people get the treatment they need when they are depressed, when they are addicted, when they have PTSD. That's if you keep doing the research and also acknowledge the research that's been done. That's when you get good health policy.
And Secretary Kennedy's role, he just doesn't stop. I mean, every day, all day long, until he gets these things done. This is not an easy boulder to push up the hill. And Secretary Kennedy was undaunted, and he's been talking about it for a while, so he had a passion anyway. But his mentoring that's allowed a lot of folks to move this quickly.
And if I can jump in rapidly, because I was one of those doctors that was not supportive of psychedelic therapy because I thought it was magical thinking. But over the past 6 to 10 years, we have seen an emergence of data that we cannot ignore. These drugs have the capacity, as was mentioned before, with one single administration to change the behavior of someone towards a therapeutic effect. In animal models, one single administration recreates pathways that have been eroded because of pathology. So we have a tool that potentially could allow us to basically manipulate the ability of our own bodies to heal itself, if we know how to properly use it. And that's why research, as I mentioned before, is opening up doors to explore what else can we do, how to optimally use it.
But you're just hearing and seeing automatic research. You're hearing and seeing things now that you wouldn't have really, you wouldn't be able to have done a couple of years ago. I mean, it just seems to me, I've been hearing about it a little bit over the last year. I never heard anything about it in the past. It was almost like taboo. It's not taboo anymore, right?
And there was not enough science neither. And I think that's where the evidence speaks for itself. And ultimately, that's why I say I was one of those doctors that didn't believe in it. So we do data in order to change our perspective and to do things better.
I was surprised to hear about the antidepressants. I assumed they'd be better. That's not very good. So, Bobby, you're going to push it very hard?
Yes.
We'll get it done? Sounds good to me. Well, these two guys and this third with Rob, too, and with you, I mean, that to me is research, right? Maybe the ultimate research, right? Big fans, all big fans. Right? Well, I want to thank everybody, and
Mr. President,
it's going to be... Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Would you ever fire
All right, guys. So we both just listened in live as President Donald Trump signed this executive order today. And he said, quote, directs the FDA to expedite the review of certain psychedelics already designated as breakthrough therapy drugs. So he also says these treatments are currently in the advanced stages of clinical trials to ensure that they're both safe and effective for American patients. The president says the executive order would implement, quote, historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs. Again, he signed this executive order directing the FDA to review psychedelics designated as breakthrough therapy drugs. We'll continue to follow the story. For now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more news. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell coming to you here from the stream set. We're streaming on Fox Local and on some of your favorite social media sites like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, I see that some of you all have already been commenting in TikTok as you watch the stream. I'll try to address those comments as we continue to cover the news this morning. But let's get into some of our top headlines locally here. Our first one, 4 Georgia State troopers are facing they're without a job, actually. They don't have a job. They've been fired from their current positions. Let me tell you why. So the Georgia Department of Public Safety has fired those 4 state troopers following an investigation into personal injury claims made after police pursuits. So the department started looking into the troopers' claims in January of 2026. Investigators found that the group shared many crash and incident reports with a lawyer. That lawyer then tried to get money for the crashes by filing claims against the insurance of the drivers who ran from the officers. Now, the department determined that this violated ethical standards, leading to all 4 troopers being fired. Officials say the troopers would initiate pursuits, then perform pit maneuvers leading to a crash. Afterward, they would take the drivers they were chasing to civil court. So a statement was released here by Georgia State Troopers, the Georgia Department of Public Safety, actually, and they say, quote, the actions of these few individuals do not reflect the core values of professionalism and trust that define our agency. They go on to say that the Georgia Department of Public Safety holds its officers to a high standard and takes misconduct seriously by investigating all claims according to the law. So we spoke with the Atlanta trial attorney. His name's Tom Church. He called these alleged actions very shocking here. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Problematic because it's kind of a conflict of interest, right? Officers generally aren't trying to cause themselves or anyone else any harm. However, if they have a financial stake in it, then that's going to influence their decision making. We want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, catch the bad guy, but we want them to do it in the safest way possible.
So he goes on to say, quote, if the trooper scheme went unchecked, it would mean they would have an incentive to chase more. He says, we want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, and catch the bad guy, but then we want them to do it in the safest way possible. So while the Department of Corrections, while the department here, and the department we're speaking about is the Georgia Department of Public Safety. So while they confirmed the firings, officials have not yet identified the 4 troopers involved. It is also unclear if the attorney involved will face any legal action or if the insurance companies paid out any of the claims before the investigation began. It also remains unclear how many drivers the unidentified troopers targeted. The department did not say what part of the state the fired agents were working in. But this is a big story that we're covering here. Again, 4 troopers are fired after using pursuit crashes to seek payouts. This is a very interesting story here. Like I said, we'll continue to cover this and bring you the latest as we learn more. But now, our time is 10:05. I want to talk about this, a very important event that's happening, a very sad event that's happening at this time. A celebration of life, a ceremony is underway for the 16-year-old who was killed after 404 Day festivities. So her name was Tiana Robinson. So our Caitlin Pratt is out there live, and she has more information on this ceremony and what you can do to support the family as well. Good morning, Caitlin. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jasmine. Good morning to you. And just based on the age of the victim, 16 years old, the fact she was so young and that this shooting happened in such a public place, she just there with friends, an innocent bystander in a terrible, violent situation. So no surprise that there's so many people coming out here today to say their final goodbyes to this victim. Let's go ahead and show you the scene outside the church here. This is Ebenezer Baptist Church, of course, very significant here in Atlanta due to the King family, but also shows just how big of a crowd they are expecting for this final farewell for 16-year-old Tiana Robinson. That was her name. And we do have a picture of her I want to show you as we rewind a little bit and talk about what happened and what's next as far as this case is concerned. So the 16-year-old was shot and killed earlier this month. It was April 4th, 404 Day in Piedmont Park in Atlanta's Midtown neighborhood. Now, Tiana's mom told Fox 5 she'd stay behind with a friend after a family outing to the park to celebrate. And investigators with Atlanta police, they believe at least 4 people were firing weapons from different locations in the park and believe that Tiana was likely caught in that crossfire. Now, investigators haven't worked out whether the shooters were aiming at a specific person or just firing at random. And as you can imagine, this has really sent shockwaves throughout our city, particularly given the young age of the victim and the public setting in which this occurred. Community leaders, faith groups, all calling this a call to action as investigators continue to search for suspects. We did catch up with family members. This is what her mom had to tell us.
Gotta have justice. My baby girl, she don't do nothing again. She don't do nothing. She don't go nowhere. We gotta have justice. That's the only way I can sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see her.
And another teenager, we've learned her name is Italia Wilson, 15 years old, was shot in the shoulder during the incident, is now recovering at home after being treated at the hospital. Now, Atlanta police and the city are offering a $15,000 reward for any information that helps them arrest the parties involved in this. And hey, if you have any information, you can submit tips anonymously to Crime Stoppers, and that number is 404-577-TIPS. You can also do it online and remain anonymous as well. We're going to head inside and listen in and see some of the memories that loved ones are sharing about Tiana, a goodbye ceremony here at Ebenezer Baptist Church for this 16-year-old killed during a Piedmont Park shooting, what was supposed to be a day of celebration, just turning terrible. Jasmine.
Caitlin, thanks so much for joining us here to talk about this ceremony. Very sad story here, Caitlin. We'll check in with you a little bit later, guys. And again, just to reiterate what Caitlin said, the 16-year-old victim, Tiana Robinson, she died after being caught in the crossfire at Piedmont Park on April 4th. That was 404 day. Her celebration of life ceremony is being held right now at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Police have not yet determined if the shooters were aiming at specific people or firing at random during April 4th, during that shooting on April 4th. Again, you could submit tips. If you have any information, if you were there, you can submit tips and remain anonymous. Again, police offering a $15,000 reward for any information that helps solve this case. Let's switch gears a little bit to talk about something a little more positive. So a major transformation is underway for transit riders across Atlanta as MARTA is launching its next-gen bus network today and a new rapid A line. Let's get out to our Kim Leffler. She has more on this. And Kim, you've been able to speak with people about this. How are they feeling about this new change?
Yeah, a lot of people certainly very excited, especially some of these folks that do rely on MARTA and the bus system to get around every day. But I am here in downtown Atlanta, right by the state capitol, and you can see this kind of red path behind me here. That is for the Rapid A line, which is part of the new rollout, this new MARTA bus rollout that is happening across the city today. Now, here is a little bit more about this next-gen bus network. It's going to triple the number of high-frequency corridors, which means many riders will see a bus arrive every 15 minutes or less, with nearly a dozen routes running every 20 minutes or better. The redesigned system also includes 81 fixed routes operating at consistent frequencies for most of the day, 7 days a week. And that does include the new Rapid A line, which is Atlanta's first bus rapid transit route. It's built to function more like a train with fewer stops and more consistent service. The 5-mile route will connect downtown Atlanta to Capitol Gateway, Summerhill, Peoplestown, and the Beltline Southside Trail, linking riders directly to MARTA Rail. And in some areas, buses will travel in dedicated lanes and actually use technology that can change traffic lights to keep them moving. But I did catch up with some riders this morning who, were excited about all of these new changes and some buses arriving a little bit faster. Take a listen to what one rider had to say. Your thoughts on that?
On the new MARTA?
Yeah, the new MARTA bus routes, yep.
Okay, I have to, it's okay, and it might not be okay, but it's a new thing actually. So I know that with time we are going to be fine, because the city is not going to give us what we do not need. I think they know why they are doing this, so it's going to fall in the right place.
So I know the city is saying they're hoping it's going to reduce wait times, more frequent service. Do you think that's something that's needed?
Yes, it's very needed, because when you have to catch a bus and it's going to come earlier than you were used to, I think it's a good thing.
And so do you take the bus and the public transit a lot
I do. I don't have a private car, so I rely on the public transport system.
And so I'm sure this is welcome news to you to get some faster service.
Exactly. And I know it's going to work and help all of us to decongest actually the city as well. So it's okay.
And this is actually the first time since the 1970s that MARTA's really done a big redesign like this of their bus system, and we certainly know how much the city has grown in that time. So that is another reason why riders say this is certainly something that they're looking forward to and is very much needed. But MARTA does say that some low-frequency routes as a part of this new network, those are going to be discontinued. So they just encourage people, as you get used to the new schedule, just go and check the new routes and the new schedule when you head out today. But that is the latest from here, Jasmine. But for now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Kim, thanks so much for sharing what riders need to know about MARTA's next-gen bus launch. Very important information here. We'll check in with you a little later. Guys, in the meantime, your time is at 10:13. When we return, we'll have a look at your weather forecasts. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining our news conversation this Saturday morning. I know many of you are going to get out and enjoy the weather, enjoy all the festivities happening this weekend. So let's go ahead and bring in our meteorologist, Alex Forbes. He has a look at your forecast, and you're smiling big. You have a beautiful view behind you.
I do, and actually what you're looking at is sunshine. I need to go adjust the iris on the camera, but yeah, it looks like a nice afternoon out at Lake Lanier right now. Although the lake is still low, look here off in the distance. You're seeing land where you're not supposed to be able to see land, right? And in fact, there's a boat coming by right now at this hour. In fact, the airport is officially measuring Ks, so maybe I don't need to go adjust the iris. We'll see. 73 is where we stand right now. A breeze out of the west-northwest at about 6 in Gainesville. Notice your humidity's up. Okay, so it's at 64%, but that's going to drop here through the afternoon. And because of that, we've got that high fire danger yet again today across metro Atlanta. Some more cloud cover from Carrollton across to Atlanta, down towards Covington, Eatonton. 72 now in Atlanta and in Covington, 73 in Eatonton, 68 over in LaGrange, 70 in Griffin, and 68 in Blairsville. All right, so here's what we've got on the docket. This is a live look up in Forsyth County. Georgia is now in its worst drought since 2011. Remember that? Like the water restrictions and all that. Luckily, we're not that advanced, but it's a possibility that we reach that point because while we do have some rain chance tomorrow, a small one, it's not anywhere close to putting a dent into our situation. Temperatures, they will be more seasonable here in the week to come. So for the remainder of the afternoon now, getting into the 80s relatively quickly, looking for 87 by about 4. Sometime after 4, looking for a high temperature today of 88, which would defeat the record high for this afternoon. So 88 today, 69 tomorrow. What in the world is going on? Well, a cold front's going to come through tonight, and we are really limited in our moisture across metro Atlanta, which means the cold front does not have that moisture to work with, which means it's not going to produce a lot of rain. We will see some spotty showers, maybe even a heavy downpour or two in a handful of spots, but generally speaking, rainfall totals a 1/10 of an inch or less. So a 30% chance of rain tomorrow morning, completely dry today, but we will be seeing increasing clouds across the metro area. So expecting to break the record today Sunday, not so much. In fact, not even close to it. 69, your high temperature there. But we do start a new warming trend here into the end of the week, up to 86 by the time we get to Friday. Mind you, our average high temperature is 74. So that's more like late May than late April. All right, hour by hour. This is the newest run of the Barron 3K. This looks fantastic, right? Some heavy rain moving into northwest Georgia. Well, it meets that dry air and just poof. So through the overnight, some scattered showers possible, but again, it's not going to amount to a whole lot. And then for tomorrow morning, I would watch for some steady rain, maybe down on the south side, but even then, that's not amounting to a whole lot. And then we're just quiet here across the southeastern United States, something we don't really want to be. So a 30% chance of rain for tomorrow morning, 69, 76 Monday, 78 Tuesday, starting that new warming trend towards Friday. Jasmine, next week, while it will be, I'm going to call it hot, it's going to be hot outside. I'm not expecting the near record-breaking stuff like we're seeing today, like we've seen over the past couple of days, including yesterday where we hit 90 the earliest 90 in a calendar year on record for Atlanta. That was yesterday afternoon. Not doing that again next week.
All right. Thanks so much, Alex, for sharing this information. And we'll check in with you a little later. Hopefully we can get that rain, guys, because I know that we need it, like our meteorologist just said. Let's talk about a weather event happening in Michigan and Wisconsin. So much farther from us, but they are in crisis mode right now. So heavy rain and snow melt is pushing its way across Michigan towards dangerous flooding. Okay, so they are seeing some scary flooding in that area. Crews are working around the clock to shore up the Sheboygan Dam in northern Michigan. And if that overflows, people could be forced to evacuate. Officials are warning people living near the dam to be ready to leave at any time. But with water levels just inches from the top, some people are just getting out now, understandably. So this week, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer expanded a state of emergency to nearly 36 counties. This after powerful storms knocked down trees and power lines. The National Weather Service teams have been on the ground there surveying the damage, and you can see that on your screen. You can see that police car almost halfway deep in that water. Flooding from the same system also swept across the Midwest, stranding cars and leading to water rescues in Wisconsin. So forecasters say another 1 to 2 inches of rain could fall again today in those areas. So a very scary situation for them, hoping that everyone stays safe, and if they evacuate, that they get to their destinations safely. Your time is 10:20. When we return, we'll talk about a health issue that is plaguing millions of Americans, but it is not often talked about. When we return, we'll have more information. This month, April, marks IBS Awareness Month. It's a condition that affects millions of Americans, but it's still widely misunderstood and under-discussed. Health experts say it's time to change that and be more open, have an informed conversation on IBS. Let's bring in Dr. Peyton Baruchim. He joins us live with what you need to know on this health condition. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Baruchim.
Good morning, Jasmine. Thank you for having me.
So first, for those who don't know, please share what IBS is.
So IBS is a common condition that affects millions of Americans. It's typically abdominal pain that occurs with a change in bowel movements. Now that change can be diarrhea, it can be constipation, or it can be a combination of both. So patients who have IBS, their gut is a little bit more sensitive, so that change will cause pain.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Now, IBS affects millions of Americans, yet it's still misunderstood. Why do you think that is?
First of all, people think it's purely a stress or anxiety disorder, which is not. You know, there are physical triggers that occur with IBS, which is a combination of gut sensitivity, as I mentioned, stress, diet, the gut bacteria, the microbiome imbalance has a lot to do with it. But I think the big issue is, you know, as a culture, we're not comfortable talking about our gut issues, our bowel movements. So a lot of times these symptoms aren't even brought up in the doctor's office, so it goes undiagnosed.
Next question. You said that you see common triggers. Can you talk more about that and the mistakes that people are making when trying to manage their symptoms?
Yeah. People try to do diet elimination sometimes, and they do that too fast without adding what's really necessary in your diet, which is fiber. I think we all lack fiber. Our diets have become so processed that it's lacking fiber. So low fiber intake will cause constipation, will cause bloating, will cause gut bacteria. So it's important to incorporate fiber into the diet, and also maybe some probiotics, which are the good bacteria that our gut needs.
And so, you know, most Americans aren't getting enough fiber. We know that fiber is so important in our diet, and I've done research on this myself. The amount of fiber that we need is a lot per day when you really think about it. And it, you know, it differs depending on your gender, your weight, etc. So talk about fiber and why it's so important. What can we do to incorporate that more into our diets?
Yeah, you know, the problem is these ultra-processed foods are stripped of fiber, and that's what our diets are mainly these days. Fruits, vegetables, fiber supplements, you know, that help. You have to just be really conscious and active about what you're eating and how much intake you're having, and you'll notice an immediate improvement as far as bowel habits, as far as bloating, inflammation, etc.
And so there's a lot of buzz around Ozempic and other medications like it. What gut-related side effects are doctors like you seeing? What should people be aware of?
Yeah, everybody's on these GLPs these days, and one of the main side effects that's not really discussed with patients before starting these medications are some of the gut symptoms. Mainly, it slows down your gut motility, and by doing so, you get constipated. It does, of course, reduce your hunger, but then it causes nausea, bloating, a lot of gut discomfort that patients aren't educated about.
Thanks so much for sharing. Now, in the break, we were talking about a product that you really like and you think it's useful. Let's talk about that. And you said it's associated with an organization called Belly Welly.
Yeah, so Belly Welly is a fiber supplement. It comes in a powder form, and it also comes in gummies, so it's really easy to carry with you. It gives you the necessary fiber that you need. It also has probiotics in it. There is collagen and electrolytes as well, so you're kind of getting everything all in one. It's super simple. It comes in different flavors. It comes in package-sized, carry-ons and gummies. So I recommend it to my patients. They've done really well with it. I think people should give it a try.
And my last question for you, any advice, any first steps for a person who's experiencing gut issues and they don't know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to rule out the important things. If you've seen your physician, your labs are great. But I think the most important thing is start with introducing fiber into your diet. Fiber will do amazing things. Your bowels will start moving. Not being constipated will reduce the bloating, a lot of the symptoms. So increase your water intake, very important. Try to reduce your stress. I know we're all stressed these days as a society. Adequate sleep is really important. So try to, help your body relax, get enough sleep, get enough water, add a little fiber. I think that's a very good start.
Those are some good tips there, Dr. Baruchim. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this health issue, IBS. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to continue our news coverage and talk our national headlines when we return. Welcome back to our news conversation here on Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's get into some of our national headlines, and let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz and the war in the Middle East. So Iran has reversed course on reopening the critical Strait of Hormuz as the war against Iran enters its 49th day today. So at around 8:15 this morning, Iran fully reopened the Strait of Hormuz to commercial vessels, and President Donald Trump said the American blockade on Iranian ships and ports, quote, will remain in full force until Tehran reaches a deal with the U.S., including on its nuclear program. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passed through the strait daily before the U.S. and Israel launched the war against Iran. So Iran actually fully reopened the Strait of Hormuz on Friday yesterday. But however, we know now as of 8:15 this morning that they reversed this whole action closing the Strait of Hormuz again. This is according to Iranian officials. They say the blockade was a violation of last week's ceasefire agreement between Iran and the U.S. And they say, quote, the strait will not remain open if the blockade continues. Iran's parliamentary speaker posted on X early this morning that message that the strait, quote, will not remain open. According to the Wall Street Journal, some 20 ships have turned around since Iran reclosed the Strait of Hormuz, and at least 2 ships were fired at. So let's talk about the backstory here. So Trump imposed this blockade earlier this week after Iran restricted traffic through the strait due to fighting in Lebanon, which Iran claims was a breach of the Pakistan-brokered ceasefire. Trump later suggested a second round of direct U.S.-Iranian talks could be happening this weekend. We know that oil prices fell 9%, and this has been impacting Americans. So we also know that U.S. stocks notched a third straight weekly gain on hopes of avoiding a worst-case economic scenario. A data firm also said markets showed cautious optimism, but warned it could take months, not weeks, to return to normalcy. So a 10-day ceasefire. Let's talk about this ceasefire here holding in Lebanon. So a 10-day ceasefire in Israel and Lebanon began at midnight on Friday. It appears to be holding after more than a month of war between Israel and Hezbollah through the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group is not a party to this deal. Okay, so Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is not finished yet with Hezbollah. Hezbollah said its response will depend on how events unfold, and the fragile calm has prompted thousands of displaced Lebanese families to head home. The Israel-Hezbollah war has displaced over 1 million people in the tiny country, and we know nearly 2,300 people in Lebanon have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. So again, this 10-day ceasefire in Israel and Lebanon, it began Friday at midnight. It does appear to be holding here after more than a month of war between Israel and Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group. It's not a party to this deal, the ceasefire deal. But we'll continue to follow the story here. We know the war in the Middle East is not only affecting the people in the Middle East, but it's affecting Americans as well. And we also know that the Strait of Hormuz has been has been closed again after these fights, these attacks, this war continues between the U.S. and Israel and Iran. So a very big story here. Iran saying the Strait of Hormuz has closed again. They said that this morning. We'll continue to follow this story. Let's move forward to another big national story. So Tyler Robinson, he's a suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So let's get into the story. We know that we know that Tyler Robinson was in court on Friday in Utah as the defense argues to limit media access during his trial. 23-year-old Tyler Robinson, he has been charged with fatally shooting Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University in September. A social psychologist called by the defense says inflammatory statements and stereotypes could hinder the defendant's ability to get a fair trial. Let's take a quick listen.
Coming in on the following areas: autopsy, experts, canine deployment.
So if we were shifting to fulsome preparation for the preliminary hearing.
Factors here?
Yeah, so this is a unique factor in this case in the sense that people who are very influential, obviously the President of the United States, or former Attorney General, these are people that have a lot of influence and power, perceived credibility, and they're making strong prejudicial inflammatory statements, and I think that's unique. I don't usually see that in cases, and calling for the public execution of the defendant before there's been a trial. Things like that are unique in nature. We attribute stereotypes of how those people behave. They're more likely to impact how we see them. You're less likely to have empathy for members of the outgroup when group salience is high. Versus members of our group we see as individuals, we're complex, less likely to be impacted by stereotypes, more likely to empathize with them, identify with them, things like that.
So you just listened to Dr. Brian Edelman. He is the defense witness here in this murder case, the Charlie Kirk murder case. And pretty much they're just arguing, they're saying that courtroom cameras are unfairly tilting the case. So Kirk was shot and killed while speaking at an outdoor campus debate planned by Turning Point USA. That's the conservative youth organization he co-founded. The defense is also seeking a delay to next month's preliminary hearing on the case. And we'll continue to follow that trial, that story there. He was just in court. Tyler Robinson, that is, the 23-year-old who's accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. He was just in court on Friday. So moving forward now, let's talk about the DHS funding fight. DHS shut down on February 14th. So we've been seeing lawmakers go back and forth here for several weeks now. Also, new information, the ICE director is resigning. So let's talk about this story. We've seen a lot of people coming forward here talking about resigning, and several U.S. departments. So as the fight over funding for the Department of Homeland Security heats up, the head of ICE has announced he'll resign at the end of May. The department announced acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, who is on your screen there, will be resigning following a tenure that saw ICE ramp up arrests and expand its detention centers. And these are issues central to the 2-month-long DHS shutdown. It's not clear if Lyons' resignation will win over skeptical Democrats, but House Republicans say they're moving ahead with a plan to fund the department through a procedure known as reconciliation. President Trump is asking for a slimmed-down reconciliation bill, but some conservatives are pushing to add policy priorities like the Save America Act. Democrats claim funding DHS isn't a top priority for Republicans, and they're criticizing Senate Majority Leader John Thune for not taking a more active role in negotiations. Top DHS officials said on Thursday the lack of funding is having a big impact on them, including their preparations for the World Cup this summer. So new information here. ICE director will be resigning at the end of May. And then also the DHS shutdown continues, and it started back on February 14th. Moving now to a very interesting story here. Some scientists are dead and missing. So let's talk about this. Was it a coincidence or murder? We're still working to figure that out. That is what federal officials are also trying to figure out as well here in this bizarre story. Almost a dozen government scientists and military officials either disappeared or ended up dead. So that's kind of scary. I don't know about you guys, but that's very scary when I hear the story. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are asking tough questions after at least 10 American scientists and former military officials were found dead or suddenly vanished in just the past few weeks. In some cases, the deaths remain unexplained, while others appear to be sudden or simply random disappearances. Some lawmakers say it has all the hallmarks of a foreign operation against the U.S. A bipartisan letter is now being drafted urging the FBI to look into the deaths and disappearances. And on Thursday, President Trump said he's been briefed and investigators are now trying to determine if the cases are linked. So far, there have been no verifiable threats against the American scientific community. And President Trump says he's expecting to have more information on this in the next week and a half. And you can see those scientists on your screen. 10 of them mysteriously died or disappeared. Hopefully we can get some more information on this, because that is pretty scary. Moving forward to another big story that we've been covering for years now, dealing with actor Alec Baldwin. He is now facing a civil trial regarding the deadly shooting on the set of the film Russ. So a very big story here. A judge ordering the actor to face the trial in October over whether he negligently fired a gun on the movie set, which led to the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins in October of 2021. The trial stems from a complaint by a gaffer on the movie set claiming that he suffered emotional distress due to this shooting. Baldwin's manslaughter case was dismissed in July of 2024 after the judge said Prosecutors had withheld evidence, and Baldwin maintains he had no idea the gun was loaded with a live round, and he claims he did not pull the trigger here. So now Alec Baldwin facing a civil trial connected to the deadly shooting on the set of the film Rust. Your time right now is 10:43. When we return, we'll have more national news. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell, streaming here on Fox Local. Thanks for joining our news conversation. Let's talk about an event I first brought to you about an hour ago. So President Donald Trump signed an executive order this morning that he said directs the FDA to expedite the review of certain psychedelics already designated as breakthrough drugs. And so he spoke earlier, and we got to take a live look of him signing this executive order. Let's go ahead and talk about this again.
Thank Professor Nolan Williams. When I was a professor at Stanford, I got to know him, and he taught me about ibogaine and all the promise that it has for treatment-resistant depression and so many other conditions. Frankly, for me, I learned a lot. He unfortunately passed away last year. I want to thank this amazing team that just moved heaven and earth to get things done. I do want to emphasize this is something that we're still studying, and we have to keep studying. We have to figure out the right way to like make sure we administer it, that it's safe, that we don't just take it for granted. We already know everything, because we don't. And for the NIH and for ARPA-H, we are absolutely committed to making sure that we keep studying it, keep getting the best gold standard science on it. You see here Nora Volkow, who's my National Institute of Drug Abuse director. She's been an absolute hero in just developing scientific, so the commitment for American science to focus on this, and in many ways, it's that scientific advance that brought us to this moment. So thank you, President Trump.
But if it's good, we want to get it fully approved fast, right?
I mean, for the things that have great evidence, and that's what
you know, these studies, they go on for a long time, and if it's good, I mean, I have a witness right here. These two incredible brothers. That to me is a study, right?
I mean, it's just as Commissioner McCary said. There's stuff that we know, and we can tell it works. We still got to figure out sometimes how it works or why it works. That we got to keep doing, even as we move forward fast.
But it does work.
Some of those, I mean, absolutely. Some of those treatments absolutely work. You can see the testament here. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the answer because it either works or it doesn't. I would think that there's been a lot of research already, indirect research, maybe the ultimate research, people that have taken it, because I've spoken to people that have taken it, aside from the trail, both of them. I've spoken to 5 people that
Mr. President,
that had big problems.
Done it 3 times.
Yeah,
It works.
please.
It fixed my demonic relationship.
This is Rob O'Neill, who's a friend of mine and a great guy. Go ahead, Rob.
It fixed my demonic relationship with alcohol. It saved my life, and then it saved my wife. So every day is a blessing. It took about 3 years of. I did it 3 times. It's a different adventure every time. That's not fun.
So without it, you would have had problems.
I did it with, there was a Green Beret 28-year Sergeant Major that told me when we finished, make sure you tell Amber Capone, the CEO of Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, that she saved my life because I was going to kill myself next week. This was my last chance. I had a 28-year veteran tell me that. Wow. This works.
Okay, good.
Mr. President,
yes.
could you ask Marcus to speak about his experience?
Thank you, Secretary. Yeah, Mr. President, what Rob O'Neill is talking about, my wife, Amber Capone, is the CEO of our charity Vets, Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. We had prayed for this day to come 10 years ago when we started the charity. We've been sending veterans outside the country, Joe, that you've been talking about for years, several thousand now, and we said the mission will end once this day happens, so we believe this is a huge step in maybe that the mission goes away, and now we have affordable access right here in the U.S.
Why didn't they get it done?
We're getting it done, right? You're getting it done.
But why yet other presidents looking at it, right? Why didn't they get it done?
I think we needed you. That's my job. I can answer that question, sir, if you mind.
Go ahead, please.
There's a small group of us in the House that have been trying to move legislation since I showed up. Mr. Correa, Mr. Bergman, Mr. McCall, Mr. Crenshaw, every year have tried to move legislation. That side of the room is not going to like what I have to say about this. And every year it has all fallen short. Every year it has all fallen short. And it's because of the proverbial roadblocks that are always in the way.
Right, that's right.
Okay, fair assessment. But those members and myself were convicted never to give up, ever. And with this executive order, I'm going to maintain composure, Mr. President. With this executive order, you have broken down those barriers and allowed us, I have all the faith in the world that this will codify and remain forever. So thank you very much for taking care of your service members and your veterans and giving the members that have been working on this for so long a chance. Thank you, sir.
Well, when I sign this does solve it for the 3-year, but we'll get that codified very easily.
Absolutely.
Once I sign it, we get them codified. So we'll make it permanent. I have no doubt it's going to be working. Would anybody else like to say something? These 2 women are so talented.
Well, I love an executive order that says research, 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 because it's ultimately what guides us onto how to optimally do things. And I think that this is what hopefully will start to happen and bringing up change in a system that has been very difficult to modify because of prior experiences. These drugs have unique characteristics that could actually, if we investigate them, can bring us into potential applications that currently we're not thinking about. But if we close the door to science, if we close the door to data, we'll just keep on doing the same thing again and again.
Do you think the door was closed?
It was hard.
Yes.
It was hard to do research.
It's very, very hard. And it's actually just by scheduling as a one, it makes it very difficult.
So this is a big move then. It's going to have
It will facilitate
bigger than
research.
just this one thing that we're talking about. That's good. That's good.
All right, guys, you just listened and a little bit on President Trump signing this executive order directing the FDA to review psychedelics designated as breakthrough therapy drugs. We'll continue to follow the story. This just happened live here for us about an hour ago, and that you just saw was just a clip of that event. But again, we'll play that a little later so people who are just now joining can watch it as well. Your time is 10:51. When we return, we'll have a look at a fun event dealing with pets happening here in Atlanta, veterinarian clinic, that is. We'll be back with more information on that. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's talk about this cool initiative here. This mobile vet clinic in the Sweet Auburn district bringing affordable care to pet owners. Our Eli Jordan is there and he's covering the story. Eli, give us more information on this mobile vet clinic that you're at.
Hey, good morning, Jasmine. Yeah, you know, pets are the best family member to have. They don't take anything wrong that you might say. They love you unconditionally. They're always happy when you get home. And so what do they get in return? They get us to take care of them, feed them, and take them to the doctor. And there's a clinic going on here. It's a really good cut price discount clinic here at the Gooder Market on Edgewood at 381 Edgewood in the Sweet Auburn district. And I am with organizer with Atlanta Dog Moms, Ebony Richardson. Hey, Ebony, how are you doing today?
Hey, thanks so much for coming.
So tell me, what all is going on? I mean, Atlanta Dog Moms.
Yes, Atlanta Dog Mom. We are a social club and a nonprofit that performs mutual aid to keep pets at home with their families and hopefully prevent more surrenders to the shelters. With our low-cost pet care initiative today, we are having a sliding scale vet clinic. So anyone can come. We are accepting walk-ins. No one will be turned away due to price, but we do operate off of donations, so we ask that everyone pay as much as they can comfortably afford to make sure we can keep doing these clinics.
And you got some food here too, right?
Yes, we have food from our pet pantry available to any pet parent who needs it. We have our veterinarian. She's tucked off with a cat right now.
Cool.
But
We got Queen right here. Hey, Queen.
Hi, Queen.
Hey, what's up, Queen?
Hi,
what's
Queen.
up? So tell me, I mean, so people can get a discount here, right?
Yeah, so we actually let people choose what's affordable for them. So it's sliding scale, and everyone contributes as much as they can. It's just more about us coming together to uplift each other and to make sure that we recycle those dollars back into the community.
And taking care of our best friends too.
Absolutely. So you're doing two good things today. You're getting your friends taken care of, and you're taking care of other people's pets as well.
So what all kind of service do you provide around here?
So we are doing preventative care, basic accidents and illness. So your vaccines, your flea and tick prevention, heartworm prevention, as well as some minor illnesses such as like ear infections or skin infections. And just getting everybody up to date on vaccines so they can stay protected.
These are the best kind. You know, dogs are cool, but I'm a cat person. Hey, little kitty, it's okay. You're getting taken care of. I know it's scary out here. So you even have taking care of cats.
Yes.
And that's cool that people bringing cats down here because normally, you know, getting out in the city and stuff. It could be a little bit frightening for some felines. So tell me, if people want more information about what you're doing, where should they go? Do you have a website?
Yes, they can check us out at atlantadogmom.com, or if you need help with affordable pet care, email nonprofit@atlantadogmom.com.
So you guys have been doing this for quite some time, correct?
Yes, sir. We were founded in 2024. We were doing our pop-up clinics about once or twice a year, but recently we've been able to expand, and now we offer these clinics at least twice a month across Metro Atlanta.
And you've done a lot more. You got a grant, right? You mentioned a grant, and you've been here in Atlanta, like, well, you've done several pop-ups, right?
Yes, sir. This will be about our 8th pop-up event in total.
So what kind of response have you been getting? What's the reaction from people?
It's been overwhelming. It's been so lovely because people, you know, sometimes when the veterinary care gets so expensive, then their pets just go without. So I found that people are actually really excited to be able to get the care that they need and contribute to paying it forward. Most of our funding comes from our donors, and that's really inspiring for me because I know the community is very appreciative of what we offer and very much wants to keep it going.
And this is not only for, you know, discounted vet care, but this is also to help fit in people's schedule.
Yes,
they work Monday through Friday, and then some vets aren't open on Saturdays.
Exactly. Most of our clinics are on the weekend and after work hours to be more accessible to people. We also offer in-home visits to seniors, people who are disabled, otherwise sick and shut in.
That's cool. So how long are you going to be out here today?
Today we'll be here at Gooder at Edgewood Market from 10:30 to 12:30.
And do you have any others planned in the future that you can tell us about, or is that they still in the planning?
We do got some dates coming up. I've got some dates, but I'm still nailing down the location. But if you'd like to request a pop-up in your area, just email us. Just reach out to us at nonprofit@atlantadogmom.com and let us know that you need help, and we're happy to help.
Tell me the website one more time and your email.
So our website is atlantadogmom.com, and our email address address is nonprofit@atlantadogmom.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Ebony Richardson.
Thank you so much.
Atlanta Dog Mom. That's what's happening here. Discounted Pet Clinic, pop-up pet clinic here on Edgewood 381 at the Gooder Market. If you got time, come on out. It's going on until 12:30. Jasmine, back to you.
All right, Eli, thank you. Sounds good. And to see this low-cost service, these services being offered to people who have pets, because we all know that having a pet can be expensive. Thanks, Eli. Guys, your time is 10:59. When we return, we'll take a look at some of our local headlines. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Thanks for joining our news conversation here, streaming on Fox Local and some of your favorite social media sites. Let's go ahead and get into some of our top stories here. This first one, very interesting here. 4 Georgia State troopers fired without a job this morning. Let's get into why this happened here. So the Georgia Department of Public Safety has fired 4 state troopers following this investigation into personal injury claims made after police chases. The department started looking into the troopers' claims in January of this year. Investigators found that the group shared many crash and incident reports with a lawyer. So that lawyer then tried to get money for the crashes by filing claims against the insurance of the drivers who ran from the officers. The department determined this violated ethical standards, leading to all 4 troopers being fired. Officials say the troopers would initiate chases, then perform pit maneuvers leading to a crash. Afterwards, they would take the drivers they were chasing to civil court. The Georgia Department of Public Safety released a statement, and they say, quote, "The actions of these few individuals do not reflect the core values of professionalism and trust that define our agency." The department noted that it holds its officers to a high standard and takes misconduct seriously by investigating all claims according to law. Now, we spoke with an Atlanta trial attorney about this. His name's Tom Church, and he's just calling these alleged actions shocking. Let's take a quick listen.
Problematic because it's kind of a conflict of interest, right? Officers generally aren't trying to cause themselves or anyone else any harm. However, if they have a financial stake in it, then that's going to influence their decision making. We want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, catch the bad guy, but we want them to do it in the safest way possible.
So again, that was Tom Church. He's an Atlanta area trial attorney. He goes on to say that if the trooper scheme went unchecked, it would mean they would have an incentive to chase people more. And he also says, quote, "We want officers to try to resolve, de-escalate, catch the bad guy, but then we want them to do it in the safest way possible." Now, while the department confirmed the firings, officials have not yet identified the 4 troopers involved. It is also unclear if the attorney involved will face any legal action or if the insurance companies paid out any of the claims before the investigation began. It also remains unclear how many drivers the unidentified troopers targeted. The department did not say what part of the state the fired agents were working in as well. So somewhere in Georgia, these 4 Georgia state troopers fired after allegedly suing drivers in civil court following police chases. Let's go ahead and move forward to another story. This teenager is charged in a deadly crash out in DeKalb County. There's a look at scene there, and this is a very sad story. So an 18-year-old is facing homicide charges after a high-speed chase and a stolen car ended with a crash that killed a woman and injured a teen on yesterday in DeKalb County. So Joseph Oda is 18 years old. He was driving the stolen vehicle when DeKalb County police began the chase. That chase ended near Covington Highway and Miller Road, where the 18-year-old hit a tree. The impact killed 56-year-old Antoinette Catching and left a 14-year-old with injuries. Police also found a teen inside the stolen car with Oda. Now, Oda now faces charges of first-degree homicide by vehicle, serious injury by motor vehicle, fleeing and attempting to elude police, and several other charges, according to officers. The teen passenger also faces charges of theft by receiving stolen property and second-degree homicide by vehicle. So the DeKalb County Police is working to investigate this situation. It's not yet clear where the vehicle was originally stolen from or the current medical condition of the injured 14-year-old. Police also have not released the name of the teen who was inside that car with the suspect here. But again, the suspect, 18 years old, charged in this fatal crash during the DeKalb police chase. Very scary situation here. This chase ended the lives of one woman, 56-year-old Antoinette Catching, and left a 14-year-old with injuries. We'll continue to follow the story. Again, we know that 18-year-old Oda, Joseph Oda, is facing several charges, along with that passenger who was in that stolen vehicle, facing charges as well. Let's get into another big story that we're following, a very sad story. This is the community is honoring the life of the 16-year-old who was shot and killed following 404 Day festivities here in Atlanta at Piedmont Park. And so we're going to bring in our Caitlin Pratt to talk about this story. It's a very, very sad story. We know that the Celebration of Life service is being held for Tiana Robinson today. It started at 10 a.m., so it is underway, and it's being held at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that's where we'll find our Caitlin Pratt. Good morning, Caitlin. I know you were able to listen to that ceremony, that funeral service there. A very sad story here. What are parents, what are family members saying about Tiana Robinson?
Good morning to you, Jasmine. Yes, ongoing here, services at Ebenezer Baptist Church, a really special place for a final goodbye for this teenager, 16 years old. And you can see police outside waiting to escort the family to private burial. But in the meantime, inside Ebenezer Baptist Church, wow, just a large crowd all here to celebrate the life of this 16-year-old, Tiana Robinson, shot and killed in Piedmont Park. This was back on Saturday, April 4th. Tiana's mother says she'd stayed behind with a friend after the family outing to the park. They were there for 404 Day. Investigators believe at least 4 individuals fired weapons from different locations, and the girls were likely caught in the crossfire. And I say girls because Tiana wasn't the only one shot. Her friend, a 15-year-old, also hit by gunfire, injured as a result. Thankfully, she did survive, is now recovering from those injuries. Now, as for the investigation, Police do not know whether the shooters were aiming at a specific person, firing at random. And as you can imagine, this incident truly resonating throughout Atlanta, particularly given, of course, the young age of the victim, the public setting in which this violence occurred. Community leaders, faith groups calling Robinson's death a call to action. And I was able to go inside and listen in on some of the goodbye messages. Atlanta's Mayor Andre Dickens taking the stage. Go ahead and take a listen.
And this entire city joins you today, not only in mourning, but in celebrating this beautiful life well lived. And I see lots of classmates and friends and people that participated in programs with Tiana. I see lots of green shirts. I know that's why I wore my green tie today. I see lots of people that love her. If you love and remember the life and legacy of Tiana Robinson, if you would just make some noise in this place at this time.
Now, we've learned, too, that rapper 21 Savage reportedly covered the funeral expenses. The mayor addressing that, saying that Atlanta is like a family. And that was why the rapper felt so inspired to go ahead and take that burden off of Robinson's family. In the meantime, this is an ongoing investigation. Police are asking for help, and you may remain anonymous if you have any information that can help them crack this case. $15,000 up for grabs as far as information leading to an arrest, and you may remain anonymous if you have anything that can help investigators as far as this goes. As for that 15-year-old other victim, her name is Italia Wilson. She was shot in the shoulder, is now recovering at home after being treated at the hospital. So many of their classmates in that sanctuary this morning saying their final goodbyes to someone they went to school with for years, who they loved, Tiana Robinson, just 16 years old. My colleague Ray Arena is inside, is going to be covering this for Fox 5 News later on today, so be sure to listen in and see what her family members had to say in front of this crowd, this supportive crowd here to say their goodbyes. Jasmine?
Caitlin, thanks so much for showing us this ceremony. I have a question for you. Don't know if you said this already, so sorry if I missed it, but there's been reports that rapper 21 Savage is going to cover the cost of her funeral. Have you been able to confirm that?
Yes, the mayor actually confirming that here at the funeral. As I mentioned, he said it's just fitting and appropriate that entertainers consider Atlanta family. And so when he heard about this, the rapper reached out to the mayor's office and just wanted to take that burden off of this family who, of course, why would they expect to be saying goodbye to their teenager, right? After a day out celebrating. So, yes, just small gestures, big gestures, acts of kindness. And let's, if we can, just be silent. And I'm going to give you some images of her casket being brought out here, Jasmine.
Absolutely. Caitlin, thank you so much for sharing this video with us. It's very difficult to watch, guys. This is happening live. The Celebration of Life service underway for 16-year-old Tiana Robinson, and you just saw them bring her casket out. Very, very difficult to watch. A life ended way too soon on April 4th, following a day of festivities. That was 404 Day, and at Piedmont Park, the shooting took place. Very sad story here. My heart goes out to the families involved, the family of Tiana Robinson and her friends as well. Caitlin, thank you for showing us this and for talking about this very important story here, remembering and honoring the life of Tiana Robinson. Let's switch gears now, guys. Talk about something a little more positive right now. So a major transformation is underway for transit riders across Atlanta as MARTA has launched its next-gen bus program and also a new rapid A line. So our Kim Leffler is covering this story here. And Kim, you've been able to speak with people and you say they're very excited about this new next-gen bus launch.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when it comes to shorter wait times. Now, I am here in right by the state capitol, and you can see the red path behind me. That is for the Rapid A line. You kind of see this in parts of the downtown area. It's part of this next-gen bus network. Now, a little bit more about the network is going to triple the number of high-frequency corridors, which means many riders will see a bus arrive every 15 minutes or less, with nearly a dozen routes running every 20 minutes or better. The redesigned system also includes 81 fixed routes operating at consistent frequencies for most of the day, 7 days a week. And that also does include the new Rapid A line, which is Atlanta's first bus rapid transit route. It's built to function more like a train with fewer stops and more consistent service. The 5-mile route connects downtown Atlanta to Capitol Gateway, Summerhill, Peoplestown, and the Beltline Southside Trail, which links riders directly to MARTA Rail. And in some areas, buses will travel in dedicated lanes and actually use technology to change traffic lights to keep them moving. But I have been talking with riders all throughout the morning who, as you mentioned, are very excited to see how this is all going to play out. Take a listen to one rider that I spoke with. Thoughts on that?
On the new MARTA?
Yeah, the new MARTA bus routes, yep.
Okay, I have to, it's okay, and it might not be okay, but it's a new thing actually. So I know that with time we are going to be fine, because the city is not going to give us what we do not need. I think they know why they are doing this, so it's going to fall in the right place.
So I know the city is saying they're hoping it's going to reduce wait times, more frequent service. Do you think that's something that's needed?
Yes, it's very needed, because when you have to catch a bus and it's going to come earlier than you were used to, I think it's a good thing.
And so do you take the bus and the public transit a lot?
I do. I don't have a private car, so I rely on the public transport system.
And so I'm sure this is welcome news to you to get some faster service.
Exactly. And I know it's going to work and help all of us to decongest actually the city as well. So it's okay.
And this is really the first big redesign MARTA's done of their bus routes since the 1970s, and we certainly know how much the city has grown in that time. So that is another reason why riders say this is very much needed. But MARTA says some of the low-frequency routes have been discontinued, so they just encourage people as you head out today and over the next few days to check the new routes and check the schedule, with all these changes that are underway. Jasmine.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us and speaking with people out there who are excited about MARTA rolling out this next-gen bus and that Rapid A line. Thanks for joining us live, and we'll let you get back to reporting the news or gathering information, that is. Guys, your time is 11:20. When we return, we'll take a look at your weather forecast. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Thanks for joining our news conversation this Saturday morning. I know many of you are wanting to get out and enjoy some festivities happening across the Atlanta area. So let's go ahead and bring in our meteorologist, Alex Forbes. He has a look at your weather forecast.
Yeah, good morning, Jasmine. Already starting to warm up, continuing the warm up here across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia this morning. A live look up towards Midtown at this hour. We're 74 already. So it's somewhat of a similar warm up to what we saw yesterday, and that's even with the cloud cover we have in place in many spots across Metro Atlanta. Look at this, getting up to 86 later this afternoon. So yes, unseasonably warm yet again. It's already 76 in Gainesville, 79 over in Athens, 78 in Eatonton, 75 in Blue Ridge, and 73 in Carrollton at this hour. Do have showers and even some storms back off to the west. This system is rolling towards us here in North Georgia, but unfortunately it is not going to be bringing the same amount of rainfall as it is to the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys. Is running into the dry air and is running out of steam essentially as it moves into the metro area. More on that here in just a moment. But first, yesterday broke two records. One, the daily high temperature record, which was 130 years old, but then also April 17th, 2026 will go down as the earliest 90-degree high temperature. The previous record was April 23rd, and we beat that by a couple of days. So congratulations. If you were in Metro Atlanta yesterday, you were part of a record. All right, high fire danger in place again today. Don't go burn anything. You might burn down the neighbor's house in the process, and you don't want to do that, right? Temperatures getting into the 80s this afternoon and then upper 80s later on today. All right, look at this. Back off to the west. Here comes some of that shower activity into Alabama, across Georgia. Okay. Handful of showers by the midnight hour trying to push into the northwest metro, and then poof, they're just gone. The reason being the dry air we have in place across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So while we do need the rain and we're going to have the opportunity to see some rain, it's not really going to amount to anything meaningful. Some spots might get a 1/10 of an inch, maybe 15/100ths of an inch, but nothing more than that. Northerly breeze builds in tomorrow. Look at these temperatures, 50s and 60s, quite the change. And that's the warmest we get, about 3 tomorrow afternoon, upper 60s and low 70s across the metro. That's going to come with some gusty winds as well. Watch this through the overnight. Gusts upwards of 15 to maybe even 30 miles an hour in some spots. And then through the day tomorrow, winds will remain gusty here across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. It's not until after sunset where we look at the wind gusts really begin to die down. So for today, I'm looking for 88 in the city, 87 over in Covington, 90 in Milledgeville, 87 in Athens, 84 in Dalton. Before all is said and done, mind you, our average high temperature is 74. We also got an update to the drought monitor this week. You see exceptional drought continues to expand down to the south. We also still have extreme drought expanding here in Metro Atlanta. This was updated on Thursday. We'll take new measurements on Tuesday and have an update next Thursday. All right, let's take a look at April in totality now. 13 above average days, including yesterday's 90-degree temperature. I expect today to be above average. I expect Sunday to be below average, and then Monday to be near average. From there on out, more red boxes on the way as we look into really the end of April. The other thing I'm looking for at the end of April is potentially some more rainfall. When we've been above average, it hasn't been by a little bit. In fact, for the past week, since last Saturday, each day has been more than 10 degrees above the average, and that's a trend continued over from March. So between now and then, looking for plenty of sunshine on Monday. Temperatures mid-70s, somewhere sunny and 75. That's going to be Atlanta on Monday. And we're right back to it, way above the norm. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, back to 86 by next Friday. Jasmine?
All right, Alex, thanks so much for bringing us the latest on the weather forecast. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Your time is 11:26. Our news continues right after this. Yeah. This month, April, marks IBS Awareness Month. It's a condition that affects millions of Americans, but it's still widely misunderstood and under-discussed. Health experts say it's time to change that and be more open, have an informed conversation on IBS. Let's bring in Dr. Peyton Baruchim. He joins us live with what you need to know on this health condition. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Baruchim.
Good morning, Jasmine. Thank you for having me.
So first, for those who don't know, please share what IBS is.
So IBS is a common condition that affects millions of Americans. It's typically abdominal pain that occurs with a change in bowel movements. Now that change can be diarrhea, it can be constipation, or it can be a combination of both. So patients who have IBS, their gut is a little bit more sensitive, so that change will cause pain.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Now, IBS affects millions of Americans, yet it's still misunderstood. Why do you think that is?
First of all, people think it's purely a stress or anxiety disorder, which is not. You know, there are physical triggers that occur with IBS, which is a combination of gut sensitivity, as I mentioned, stress, diet, the gut bacteria. The microbiome imbalance has a lot to do with it. But I think the big issue is, you know, as a culture, we're not comfortable talking about our gut issues, our bowel movements. So a lot of times these symptoms aren't even brought up in the doctor's office. So it goes undiagnosed.
Next question. You said that you see common triggers. Can you talk more about that and the mistakes that people are making when trying to manage their symptoms?
Yeah, people try to do diet elimination sometimes, and they do that too fast without adding what's really necessary in your diet, which is fiber. I think we all lack fiber. Our diets have become so processed that it's lacking fiber. So low fiber intake will cause constipation, will cause bloating, will cause gut bacteria. So it's important to incorporate fiber into the diet, and also maybe some probiotics, which are the good bacteria that our gut needs.
And so, you know, most Americans aren't getting enough fiber. We know that fiber is so important in our diet, and I've done research on this myself. The amount of fiber that we need is a lot per day when you really think about it. And it, you know, it differs depending on your gender, your weight, etc. So talk about fiber and why it's so important. What can we do to incorporate that more into our diets?
Yeah, you know, the problem is these ultra-processed foods are stripped of fiber, and that's what our diets are mainly these days. Fruits, vegetables, fiber supplements, you know, that help. You have to just be really conscious and active about what you're eating and how much intake you're having. And you'll notice an immediate improvement as far as bowel habits, as far as bloating, inflammation, etc.
And so there's a lot of buzz around Ozempic and other medications like it. What gut-related side effects are doctors like you seeing? What should people be aware of?
Yeah, everybody's on these GLPs these days. And one of the main side effects that's not really discussed with patients before starting these medications are some of the gut symptoms. Mainly, it slows down your gut motility. And by doing so, you get constipated. It does, of course, reduce your hunger, but then it causes nausea, bloating, a lot of gut discomfort that patients aren't educated about.
Thanks so much for sharing. Now, in the break, we were talking about a product that you really like and you think it's useful. Let's talk about that. And you said it's associated with an organization called Belly Welly.
Yeah, so Belly Welly is a fiber supplement. It comes in a powder form, and it also comes in gummies, so it's really easy to carry with you. It gives you the necessary fiber that you need. It also has probiotics in it. There is collagen and electrolytes as well, so you're kind of getting everything all in one. It's super simple. It comes in different flavors. It comes in package-sized, carry-ons and gummies. So I recommend it to my patients. They've done really well with it. I think people should give it a try.
And my last question for you, any advice, any first steps for a person who's experiencing gut issues and they don't know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to rule out the important things. If you've seen your physician, your labs are great. But I think the most important thing is start with introducing fiber into your diet. Fiber will do amazing things. Your bowels will start moving. Not being constipated will reduce the bloating, a lot of the symptoms. So increase your water intake. Very important. Try to reduce your stress. I know we're all stressed these days as a society. Adequate sleep is really important. So try to, help your body relax. Get enough sleep, get enough water, add a little fiber. I think that's a very good start.
Those are some good tips there, Dr. Baruchim. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this health issue, IBS. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
When we return, we'll have more information on a local story where a family is suing over the shooting death of their loved one outside of Magic City. We'll have more details when we return. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining our news conversation. Let's get into this story here. The family of Jerome Avery has officially filed a wrongful death lawsuit in Fulton County following his fatal shooting outside Magic City in 2024, May of 2024. So this lawsuit comes as a family continues to push for criminal charges against the off-duty officer involved in this case, maintaining that surveillance video proves Avery was never a threat. Let's take a listen. The family held a press conference alongside their lawyer yesterday. Let's listen to what was said.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. We're with the family of Jerome Avery, and we, on yesterday evening, filed a civil lawsuit. We filed a civil lawsuit because on May 4th, 2024, someone under the, what we believe, direction and control of APS Valet, as well as Magic City, was armed and operating as a security officer, opened up fire on a young man who was walking across the street, who had just been robbed at gunpoint and was essentially walking away, trying to escape from what he had just experienced. That young man was Jerron Avery. Jerron Avery was shot repeatedly. The video that we watched was absolutely deeply disturbing. The family had an opportunity to see that video in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, where this case is still being investigated. And what we witnessed was their loved one walking across the street after having been robbed, and out of nowhere, his body beginning to receive gunshot fire. And you could tell that he in no way knew that this was coming. He was not facing the person who assaulted him and who fired upon him. Instead, he was merely walking across the street when suddenly you see his body reacting violently towards the gunshots that ultimately ended his life. So we were, again, disturbed by the video that we saw, because it just unimaginable for someone to just begin shooting a person walking across the street. No warning. The video that we saw, Mr. Avery never turned back towards the shooter because he didn't know the shots were coming. There was no warning. There was nothing. No stop, no freeze, no investigation. Instead, it was open fire. And that resulted in Mr. Avery's death, which has led us to have to bring this lawsuit because on May 4th, that will be 2 years from the date of when they lost their loved one. I'd like for Attorney Spence, my law partner, to walk you all through the lawsuit so that you understand exactly what we're alleging.
Thank you, Attorney Davis. We did bring this lawsuit on yesterday, and technically it's called a lawsuit or a complaint. In reality, what we consider this to be is an accountability action. Because on May 4th, 2024, a young man died needlessly. According to the medical examiner, this wasn't just any death, but was a homicide. As Attorney Davis mentioned to you, this young man is merely crossing the street when, according to the medical examiner's autopsy report, his body is riddled with bullets, shot 6 times from his shoulders down to his feet, literally. And we can only imagine, he didn't know these shots were coming. Maybe after he was shot the first time, he thought it was a mistake. But before he could even do anything to try to confront his attacker, he gets shot again, and again, and again, and again, for no reason whatsoever. We see a lot of this in the city of Atlanta, and sometimes it's easy to hear about someone being murdered, especially with a firearm. And we hear it, we say that's bad, that's terrible that that happened, and we forget about it. But we want to pursue actions like this so that we never become so accustomed in this city to hearing about one of our fellow citizens being gunned down that we lose the capacity to care. Now, the victim in this shooting, Jerron Avery, isn't somebody who will go down in the annals of history. He's not someone who will ever be widely known, perhaps other than through this lawsuit. But he was a young man who had a family, he had friends, he was loved, and the lives of those family members and friends are now a little less complete because he's no longer physically with us. So we filed this lawsuit to hold those accountable whom we believe are responsible for his far too early demise. So we sued APS Valet, the valet service company that was providing services for Magic City and assisting its patrons in getting to the parking lot where they park and watching the vehicles that these patrons use to drive to Magic City. So it's our position that they were working in tandem. They were working together. They had a joint enterprise, APS Valet and Magic City. And as part of that joint enterprise, they hired this peace officer to work this extra job. His name was Marcus Hayes. And Marcus Hayes, again, is a sworn law enforcement officer. And without facing any immediate threat, without acting to protect others, he unleashes this fusillade of bullets against Jerron Avery. So the basic theory of our lawsuit for accountability action is that these parties, APS Valet, Magic City, and other parties we've named, and we set out the reasons why we think some of these other parties are appropriate parties to be in this lawsuit, and Marcus Hayes. They all work together in concert to cause Mr. Avery's wrongful death. And you'll see that that is one of the counts of the lawsuit that we're bringing. And a wrongful death is just what it says. A death that is caused by homicide where there is no legal justification for that death. And we always get asked in these kinds of news press conferences how much we're suing for. We know what the law says about homicide. The law says repeatedly that homicide should be expensive. But the family is leaving that to us and to a judge and to a jury to determine what financial accountability means in this case. Because what has happened here is something that can't be undone. The harm that's been caused can't be taken back. So they've taken something from Mr. Avery they are powerless to give back, and that action should be costly for them, and it's our intention to do all that we can to hold them financially accountable for the harm that they caused Mr. Avery and that they caused his family. There are other counts in the lawsuit, battery, for example, that a battery was committed on Mr. Avery. Another count is that he suffered a violent injury as a result of what happened to him. But all of these different counts of the complaint flow from his wrongful death. And so we are here to take this journey toward justice with this family. And we intend to hold these parties accountable for this indescribable and absolutely preventable harm that they caused on May 4th, 2024. Attorney Davis.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned, what we know right now as it relates to the criminal case is that it is with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. They are investigating. We have been in communication with them. They have met with this family. The hope continues to be that there will be a criminal prosecution. But for us, this is about full justice. We could not wait until the criminal matter was over because we are at the 2-year statute of limitations on May 4th. And so we had to bring this now in order to preserve the civil claim. And so we want to be clear that their first cause of action was to have the individual and any other individuals who directed this Marcus Hayes to fire upon their loved one to be held criminally liable for what he did. That means even though he is a post-certified officer, that he should be required to stand trial, to be arraigned, to be arrested, to go through the entire process that any other person involved in a homicide should have to go through. So we wanted to make clear that for this family, their first question was, who's going to prosecute? And that's why we met with the district attorney's office, and that's why we continue to make themselves available for any questions or anything the district attorney's office may have so that they can support the prosecution of the case. At this time, I'd like for his brother to share a few thoughts about Mr. Avery. Then he will be followed by his sister and then Mom. And if you all wouldn't mind saying and spelling your name for me.
How y'all doing today? My name is Justin Avery, Justin Avery. I'm 1 year older than Jerron Avery, very loving young man, very outgoing. I'm in construction. I do a lot of work around Metro Atlanta, Virginia, down in Florida. Jerron works with me a lot. He gets up very early, 6, 7 o'clock, come out, and we do a great job in the community. I do doors, windows, fencing. He does landscaping, car washing. For him to leave how he left, I'm very upset. I'm glad to be with Attorney David and Bozeman to bring justice to this. To relive it today, I mean, it's been 2 years. You can only imagine what we're going through. I'm chuckling up now because he's very loved. Nothing in this world will bring his essence back, his smile. And that's why I'm gonna leave it at. I mean, he's very loved. He loved community. He's a family-oriented man. He always wanted a family. You know, he can't get that no more. And so we're gonna always live with this. We're very known in the community as well. So I mean, we do a lot for the community. Very upset about the occurrence. But I thank everybody involved bringing this awareness so we can have justice.
Again, you are listening to the family of Jerron Avery, along with their attorney. They have officially filed that lawsuit, a wrongful death lawsuit in Fulton County, following his fatal shooting back in May of 2024 outside of Magic City. So a little bit more about this information. Here's what we know about this complaint filed on Thursday. Again, the shooting happened in the vicinity of the iconic Magic City Strip Club in downtown Atlanta. Attorneys for the family state that Avery was not the aggressor and not an aggressor, but a victim who was attempting to retreat after surviving an attempted robbery. The lawsuit also alleges that Marcus Hayes, who is an off-duty police officer working a private security detail for APS valet at the time, they say that he opened fire on Avery as he was walking away. And so the Fulton County Medical Examiner's report later confirmed Avery was shot 6 times. The death was officially ruled a homicide. The legal filing argues that the businesses involved failed to provide proper safeguards, training, or supervision for armed personnel working in a public setting. So here's what's next. While the civil lawsuit moves forward in Fulton County Superior Court, a criminal investigation remains active here. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office is still reviewing the case to determine if criminal charges will be brought against Hayes. And to date, no charges have been filed, but the Avery family, Jerron Avery here is the victim, and their attorneys say they remain hopeful that a grand jury will eventually see the evidence and return an indictment. So we'll see what happens here. Again, the shooting happening within the vicinity of the iconic Magic City Strip Club in May of 2024, killing the victim here, Jerron Avery. Marcus Hayes is that off-duty officer that the family is claiming that he shot at their loved one, Jerron Avery, as he was walking away. We'll see what happens here. We'll see what comes out of this lawsuit and the criminal investigation there in Fulton County. When we return, we'll talk about a more positive event. We'll speak with our Eli Jordan. He's at a mobile vet clinic, so very interesting for you pet owners. Access to affordable pet care is getting a boost in the Sweet Auburn Historic District, where a pop-up vet clinic, a mobile vet clinic, is offering services at discounted prices. And we'll find our Eli Jordan there at the Sweet Auburn District. He has more on these services being offered. Hey, Eli.
Hey, Jasmine. Yeah, I'm in the Sweet Auburn District on Edgewood, 381 Edgewood at the Gooder Market. And Atlanta Dog Moms out here with their first pop-up clinic. It's not their first one, but it's first stop pop-up clinic is what I'm trying to say. And then, they've been around, they're a nonprofit. It's been around. They've been hanging out in the Clayton County area, but with, some generous grants and stuff from some people, the philanthropy and all that, they're able to expand it. 7 more pop-up clinics just this year compared to just a couple last year. And so people are taking advantage of it too. There's doggies. We got Jolte and Cartier right behind me there, and they're on TV. I don't think they know they are, but I am with Ebony Richardson. Hey, Ebony, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, you got a big turnout today, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been really glad we're reaching the people who need our services the most.
Gotcha. And so tell me, about reaching the people that need services the most. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, so we know that pet care costs are skyrocketing. Unfortunately, it's a trickle-down effect of what's happening with the economy, and usually our pets are the ones who end up paying the price. And we know that pet owners who may struggle to afford veterinary costs is not due to them being bad pet owners, or due here doing a sliding scale veterinary clinic to help as many pet-loving families keep their pets with them as possible.
And we have seen, it is a growing concern because we've seen, I've seen more pet insurance.
Yes. And the thing with pet insurance is it's a great tool. It can help a lot of people, but even with pet insurance and care credit, there's still some people who don't qualify for those things, or sometimes there's still some payments left over, and that's actually why we call this a first stop clinic. Our hope is that you can stop with us first and we'll get you as much low-cost pet care as we can. If it's anything more severe, we will refer out, but we'll do everything that we can for you at an affordable rate.
Does the cost of pet health care, sometimes make people give up their pets?
Yes, absolutely. Especially, unfortunately in the South, it is common for pets to be dumped. We do have different available, but sometimes if the shelters are full, people will just leave their dogs on the side of the road.
Well, these are beautiful dogs, and they're not being left behind. They're getting taken care of.
They're very well taken care of by loving pet parents. Absolutely.
And so, but it can be rough. That's stressful for someone who has to actually come to terms with giving up the pet that they've had.
Right, especially if we're talking about our senior citizens, who may have different disabilities or are shut in for whatever reason, especially. So we do offer in-home vet services for them as well, because we know how important that connection is, and how sometimes if you're living on a limited income, that can be very stressful.
Now, if somebody wanted to take advantage of that, or look into it, research it, do you have a website that they can go to get all those answers?
You guys can check us out at atlantadogmom.com, or you can email us at nonprofit@atlantadogmom.com.
AtlantaDogMom.com, nonprofit at AtlantaDogMom.com.
Yes, sir.
So, do you have any other plans later on this year coming up?
Yeah, we're happy to expand. We're going to keep doing our vet clinics all over Metro Atlanta, reaching different weekend and after work hours. We have a few things coming down the line. Inside the Gooder store, we have our free pet food pantry, so any pet parent, for any reason, you don't need to fill out any paperwork. It's just, if you could use a hand with pet food, it's available anytime the store is open. And we just look forward to growing and expanding our outreach.
Awesome. Ebony Richardson of Atlanta Dog Mom.
Yes.
Atlanta Dog Mom, and the first First stop pop-up market here
at
381 Edgewood is going on until noon 30 today. If you got your pet, come on down here and bring him down. You can maybe get a shot or two and get checked up and keep them healthy. Keep our best friends healthy. Jasmine, back to you.
All right, Eli, thanks so much for joining us and bringing us this event live. We'll check back in with you a little later. Your time is 12 on the dot. We'll be right back. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. It is 12:02. We're going to get straight into weather. I know many of you want to get out. You want to run your errands, go grocery shopping, and even enjoy some festivities. So let's go ahead and talk to meteorologist Alex Forbes. He has a look at your forecast.
I hope you're ready for a warm one, Jasmine. That's what we've got on the docket here for the remainder of the afternoon. Already now in Atlanta, we're up to 78 degrees. We're going to flip those numbers around by the time we get towards 5, 6 o'clock, 87, 88. Your high temperature today with that breeze out of the northwest right now at 7 miles an hour. Calling it mostly cloudy here in the city, so that's a change from yesterday to today. Is that increase in cloud cover across the area? 79 in Gainesville, 76 in Canton, 80 in Eatonton, 82 in Athens, and 79 in Thomaston. And even now, there really is just not that much moisture with this front, at least in parts of Arkansas and Tennessee. That would be the part coming towards metro Atlanta. So while it approaches later on this evening, yeah, it's going to bring with it a chance of rain, but that chance is not very high at all. Yesterday broke a record 90 degrees. It was the earliest 90-degree high temperature record in Atlanta history in terms of the date. We had never reached 90 before April 23rd, and we did it on April 17th. Not only that, it was a daily high temperature record, and it was 130 years old that we beat. It was set back in the 1800s, the high temperature record for yesterday. All right, fire danger statement today across metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Runs until 8 this evening. Don't go burning anything, please. Temperatures mid-80s here in the next couple of minutes, and then upper 80s later on today. All right, here comes that shower activity across northeastern Alabama. That's going to push into the state, say shortly before the midnight hour. Metro Atlanta just after the midnight hour, and then as we work our way into the evening, you see the showers are few and far between. We really don't have an opportunity to pick up a large quantity of rainfall here. The wind picking up though, temperatures falling. Look at that, 62 at noon tomorrow, and we only get into the mid-60s tomorrow afternoon. Here are your wind gusts. All right, 25, 30 miles an hour. That's 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. A little breezy, at least for me on the way to work. Right, gonna have to have two hands on the steering wheel. And then into the afternoon, let's say 20 to 25, maybe not quite as strong through the daytime hours before the wind really begins to relax into the evening hours as we work our way into Monday morning. 88 today, 86 in Covington, 89 in Milledgeville, 86 in Athens, 83 over in Dalton, and 85 in Rome today. Reset the warming trend tomorrow with the cold front coming through, 75 on Monday. Think about it this way, Jasmine. We hit 90 on Friday. It's going to be 45 at the bus stop Monday morning. So quite the turnaround for the kids on the bus, but not to worry. We are right back to the mid to upper 80s by the time we get towards Friday. 86 degrees, maybe another pool day in store. At least my apartment complex, the pool was pretty busy yesterday.
All right, that sounds good. It sounds like a great pool day. Alex, thank you so much for joining us to talk weather. Guys, let's move forward. We're going to talk about this very sad story that we have been covering. So the funeral service was held this morning for 16-year-old Tiana Robinson. I don't know if that name rings a bell for you, but she was a 16-year-old child who was killed on April 4th. This was on 404 Day here in the Atlanta area. She was shot and killed during or after actually 404 Day events. Police did hold a press conference on this days later. They did say that that the shooting was not associated with 404 Day festivities and that it happened after 404 Day festivities. So I do want to make that clear. So that celebration of life service took place this morning, and it was held for North Clayton High School student, 10th grader Tiana Robinson, who was gunned down in Piedmont Park on 404 Day. Ebenezer Baptist Church hosted the services. They were held at 10 o'clock this morning. A public viewing was also held an hour before the service. So the backstory here, Robinson was shot and killed while visiting Piedmont Park with her mother around 9 p.m. on April 4th. Another teen, 15-year-old Natalia Wilson, was also shot in the shoulder and is now recovering at home after being treated at Grady Memorial Hospital. Investigators believe at least 4 people fired weapons from different locations and that the girls were likely caught in the crossfire. Investigators have not yet determined if the shooters were aiming at a specific person or just firing at random. If you have any information on the shooting, police are asking you to contact Crime Stoppers at 404-577-TIPS, 404-577-TIPS, and tips can be submitted anonymously. A $15,000 reward is available for any information that helps solve the case. Now, the family has also started a fundraiser to help cover the costs, the expenses for her memorial service. You can find more information on that on our website, fox5atlanta.com. But this is a very sad story here. And we've been covering this since this shooting happened on April 4th, 404 Day. It was a day that was supposed to be celebratory, but gun violence erupted and shot and hit this young teen, 16 years old. And so her family today held her funeral at Ebenezer Baptist Church. My thoughts and my prayers go out to her family, her loved ones, her friends, and all who were just involved on this sad day that, again, was supposed to be celebratory. Let's talk about a national story here, the Iran war. So the Strait of Hormuz has closed once again. It just reopened, guys, but it's back closed. This is according to Iran. So Iran has reversed course on reopening the critical Strait of Hormuz as the war against Iran continues. It has entered its 49th day. Today makes 49 days in this war. Iran fully reopened the Strait of Hormuz to commercial vessels yesterday, but President Donald Trump said the American blockade on Iranian ships and ports will remain in full force until Tehran reaches a deal with the U.S., including on its nuclear program. They've been, Trump has been trying to get Tehran to not use nuclear force here in this war. During the peace talks that have been happening, nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz daily, and it did that daily before the U.S. and Israel launched this war against Iran. So around 8:15 this morning, we learned that Iranian officials said the blockade was a violation of last week's ceasefire agreement between Iran and the U.S., and the strait will not remain open if that blockade continues. So Iran's parliamentary speaker posted this on X early this morning. And according to the Wall Street Journal, some 20 ships have turned around since Iran reclosed the strait, and at least 2 ships were fired at. So the backstory here about this blockade, Trump imposed a blockade earlier this week after Iran restricted traffic through the strait due to fighting in Lebanon, which Iran claimed was a breach of the Pakistan-brokered ceasefire. Trump later suggested a second round of direct U.S.-Iran talks could happen this weekend. We know that oil prices fell 9%, and so we know that this has been impacting Americans. Oil and gas has been impacting Americans, but oil prices did fall a little bit when that strait was reopened, but now that strait has closed again. We'll see what happens with oil and gas prices. Let's talk about the ceasefire with Lebanon and Israel. So a 10-day ceasefire in Israel and Lebanon began at midnight on Friday and appears to be holding after more than a month of war between Israel and Hezbollah, which is the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group. Now, Hezbollah is not a part of this deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is, quote, not finished yet with Hezbollah. Hezbollah said its response will depend on how events unfold. The fragile calm has prompted thousands of displaced Lebanese families to head home, and the Israel-Hezbollah war has displaced over 1 million people in the tiny country. Nearly 2,300 people in Lebanon have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. But we'll continue to follow this story, the war in its 49th day today, and also the Strait of Hormuz closed again. Officials have been going back and forth in this war. And again, attacks continue in this war as well. So hopefully we can find some peace here and an end to this war with the Middle East. Your time is 12:12. When we return, we'll talk about some more positive stories. I know many of you are wanting to hear more positive news. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Let's talk some good news now. The Atlanta Dream held a press conference yesterday afternoon introducing their 2026 free agent class, and it included Angel Reese. So this happened yesterday. Angel Reese, who spent the first part of her career in the Windy City of Chicago, is now getting her shot in the red hot city of Atlanta. Congratulations to her. Reese is a two-time All-Star that was traded for 2 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons. But the Dream are excited to welcome the double machine that is Reese. Reese and other athletes spoke yesterday at this introductory press conference, and you can tell they were so excited. Let's take a listen to Reese and some of the other athletes there answer questions from people in the audience.
If you do have a question, raise your hand and we will get a mic to you. We won't do opening statements, we'll jump right into Q&A. On the left hand.
Question for you. This is Luke Catcher, Channel 2 Action News here in Atlanta. When I spoke to Morgan last week, she had mentioned you chose Atlanta. I understand there was a trade, but can you take us through the process of that and why at the end of the day for you, this organization and this city?
Yeah. Hello. Okay. Yeah, luckily I was in a situation where it was mutual on both sides, and I was able to choose a destination that I really wanted to go to. I was able to see what Atlanta was able to do after 1 year, and bringing the core back, I didn't know, but I was really sure that they were going to come back because I felt like they loved each other. I could feel the sisterhood just on the court, off the court, and looking at them. Obviously, I've had a relationship with Rye and Leash and played against Nas, seeing her development and what they were to do, see Bree Jones, and then see JC and Pow Pow. So it felt like the right situation for me, and I felt like I was able to come here and help the team in any way I could. Coaches and the GM that really believed in me was something that I was really, really wanting after my first 2 years, and I'm really, really excited to be here.
And just in terms of Atlanta in general.
I mean, Atlanta speaks for itself. I think Atlanta speaks for itself. The culture here, the people here, you guys always made sure the games were packed. Even when I was on the other side, it felt like a home game. I mean, the atmosphere and just being around your people. I mean, I love just being able to be here and feel loved and feel like the support is endless. And not just for me, but for everybody. Like, they've done a lot of great things, and I don't want this just to be on me. I wanted to come here because they were here, and I'm just here to add to it, and I'm just really grateful to be here.
We'll go to the right.
Chris Harris, CBS News. Angel, we know you have like a podcast, modeling, celebrity friends in Atlanta. How do you focus in on basketball?
I mean, basketball is what got me here. I wouldn't be here without basketball, and that's always going to be my priority. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I put my work first, and I'm going to put 100% in anything I do. And I'm here to hoop. I'm a professional athlete, and I know how to take care of my business, and everything off the court is off the court. But when I come between the lines, it's about business, and I think everybody knows that.
We'll go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, go ahead.
This question is for Nas. This is Emmanuel Blaze from the Crush Sports Talk. In 2022, you and Rye came in to help change this franchise. And 5 years later, y'all are championship contender. Talk about being the cornerstone of changing this franchise when you first came in.
Yeah, me and Rod talk about this often. We really got here when it was gutted. Like, we brought in the drywall around here. So it feels great to see like how much work we put in, and you know, people wanted to come to Atlanta and be a part of the culture and be a part of what we're building. So to see it really from the start, when it was felt like just us, it's been great to be a part of it, and it really feel like we helped build it, and not just you know, kind of going along for the ride.
Go to Ernest.
Ernest Ricks, MTMV Sports. Bree, this question is for you. I wanted to know, why was it important for you to re-sign this year?
It was important. Can you hear me?
No. Okay, there we go. It was important for me to re-sign back here because I think initially when I came here, I wanted to come here for the people and for the organization and just what I could see from the outside, what they were trying to build here. And I think coming here, being here last year, and getting to experience it firsthand, this is definitely some place I wanted to come back to. And I'm so excited to be back and continue to build what we started last year.
Go ahead, Megan.
Hey y'all, it's Meg Hall with USA Today. This question's for JC. I know last year you talked about your teammates pouring into you throughout the season. How are they pouring into you throughout free agency now and now that you're back?
I think it's kind of been how it's always been, just the sisterhood throughout the season, and then off season being able to play against them and unrivaled to just be around them in the off season is just like a testament to me wanting to come back. How much they have poured into me, like I said, just making me feel wanted, making me feel valued and special. So I'm really grateful for everybody up here. So yeah, that was simple as that.
We'll go right.
Hi, Tyra White, Joseph Oda Sports. This is for Angel. I was wondering what you think you're going to bring to the Dream to help them have an even more successful season.
Again, what a special ceremony here. Atlanta Dream holding this press conference yesterday to introduce the 2026 free agent class. You just heard Angel Reese speak, and then audience members are also asking the other athletes questions there. Alicia Gray, Brianna Jones, Jordan Canada, Naz Hillman, and Maureen Howard. So congratulations to all these athletes here. Looking forward to their success in the upcoming season. Time is 12:20. When we return, we'll take a look at a mobile vet clinic in the Sweet Auburn neighborhood. We'll be right back. Well, access to affordable pet care is getting a boost in the Sweet Auburn district here in the Atlanta area. That's where a pop-up mobile vet clinic is offering services at a discounted price. Let's talk to our Eli Jordan. He's been covering this story, and he has more information on what you can receive, what services are being offered out there at that mobile vet clinic. Hey there, Eli.
Hey, Jasmine. Yeah, I'm at 381 Edgewood. This is starting to wrap up, but it's been consistently busy. AtlantaDogMom.com. They have set this up. It's the first stop pop-up vet clinic. And they've been doing this for several years now. They recently got a grant to where they've been increasing their pop-up clinics. And we're here in the Sweet Auburn district, and I want you to check out this really, really cool little bully dog here. And this is Sunday. Hey, Sunday. How you doing? Oh, cool. Yeah. So Sunday is here with her mama, Grace. Hey, Grace.
Hey.
Hey. So tell me, how did you find out about this, and what kind of services is Sunday going to have?
So I'm a part of the Atlanta Dog Moms group. So I got the email, and I was like, oh, perfect. It's time for her to get her shots done again. So we came to get her rabies shot and her Bordetella shot.
And so, tell me, how convenient is this pop-up clinic for you and for Sunday?
It's very convenient for us to be able to just come down. I mean, it took us maybe like 40 minutes to get here, but it's better than trying to make an appointment, at the vet and everything, and it was cost efficient too. So
you're a member of the club, the Atlanta Dog Mom
yes.
Club.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me about what benefits do you get to be from being a member of Atlanta Dog Mom?
Just getting to do meetups. So I haven't got to do one yet, just because of the days that they have them kind of be the days that I work. But I am definitely looking forward to being able to do one of the hikes or something with her, because she likes to be outside.
And so she's just getting her shots, right?
Yep, she's just getting her shots. Yep.
What kind of dog is Sunday? Tell me, what's her personality like?
So she is very friendly. She loves people, and especially kids. She runs up to all kids everywhere we go. She's super friendly.
She's a little camera shy though.
Yeah. She
I have my hair done right.
Yeah.
Makeup's not on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't blame her at all. But she's a beautiful dog. So what would you tell other people about, if they see pop-up clinics? I mean, this helps you out. The convenience, like you said, it's a Saturday. You don't have to worry about taking off work.
Yep.
And sometimes these vets are kind of packed up. I mean, do you trust the pop-up clinics? Tell me all about that. I mean, this is good quality work, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is actually our third time. She's gotten all her shots at a pop-up clinic before, so yeah.
So that's really cool that you're able to just come down here, do a walk-in, or do a light little scheduling if you need to. But it seems like she likes it, and there's other dogs around here and stuff. And so what are you guys going to do next after this? What is Sunday going to be up to?
Well, Sunday, her
on this Saturday,
her brother has baseball today. So he has tryouts today, so he's there. We're going there.
What's your brother's name?
Deuce. That's his nickname, Deuce. Yeah.
All right, gotcha. Well, never mind. I don't need to talk about deuces. But Sundays are real pretty. How old is Sunday?
Sunday's 2. She'll be 3 in June, actually.
3 in June.
Yeah.
Sunday, you're cute. We're putting you on the stream here. Maybe somebody will find you and discover you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
You are. Well, Grace, thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm going to grab this mic from you, so you'll be free to chit-chat with Sunday there. And then that's what's happening here, Jasmine. Just wrapping more throughout the year as they get going. Like I said, they've done 7 so far this year. And first stop pop-up clinic, you can go to AtlantaDogMom.com and for more information about where they'll be next. And usually I think they're going to be doing this about once a month, or maybe even more than that, but because they've already done 7 this year. But free pet care or reduced price pet care, and also you can get a little bit of food. They got a food pantry, but this has been at the Gooder Market at 381 Edgewood, and the Gooder Market also has a pet food pantry in there, and they have a pet food vending machines in there, which colleague Chris Rosenthal reported on not too long ago. And go to AtlantaDogMom.com and get more information about these pop-up clinics. Jasmine, back to you.
All right, Eli, thanks so much for joining us and showing us this event. What a fun event. And hey, what a great way to end the show. We've been talking about some heavy news today, so it's nice to end on a light note, and also to end on a story about pets. So if you have pets, make sure that you continue to follow us and find clinics like this that are offering affordable pet care. Your time is 12:28. Our news continues later today on TV.